Welcome back. I call this meeting to order. We're moving on to agenda item number 15. Vote to confirm the police chief's recommendation to appoint Michael Struper of Spencer, Mass. as a special traffic constable for a 2-year term, effective immediately through June 30, 2024, state ethics and good standing.
So moved.
Second.
Councilor Lazo.
The recommendation of the subcommittee was unanimous, Mr. Chairman.
Discussion. Very good. All those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous of all present. Item number 16. Vote to confirm the police chief's recommendation to appoint Jerry Lashaway of Southbridge, Mass. as a special traffic constable for a 2-year term effective immediately through June 30, 2024, state ethics and good standing, and entertain a motion to... already
moved.
did that.
Second.
Very good. Councilor Lazo.
The vote at subcommittee was unanimous for confirmation.
Any discussion? Councilor Steves.
Actually, just a quick question to you, to the manager. I should have asked this in the last one, too. Why are these guys 2-year appointments? They're usually 3.
Can ask.
Mr. Chair, I couldn't hear the question.
I asked, why are these guys 2-year appointments? They're usually 3.
They should not be 2-year appointments.
They are.
That's what I'm saying.
They both are?
Yeah.
That's an error then, Mr.
They
Chair.
both are. And they were at subcommittee, too. And I should have asked it then, to be honest with you. But I spaced out on it.
They should be 3 years, Mr.
All
Chair.
right, I'll take an amendment for
Make a motion to
item
amend
16.
to 3 years, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
All those in favor? Item 16 is amended to 3-year term through June 30, 2025. Very good, and we'll fix the other one. Okay. Any other discussion? All right, on item number 16, all those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous of all present. Council Steves.
Mr. Chairman, I move to reconsider item number 15.
I'll second that.
Very good. All those in favor of reconsideration of 15? Very good. No
And,
one's opposed. Unanimous.
and I move that we vote to confirm the police chief's recommendation to appoint Michael Strupa of Spencer as a special traffic constable for a 3-year term, effective
Second.
immediately through June 30th of 2025.
I need a second.
Second.
Very good. Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous of all present. Item number 17, vote to delegate the authority given to Town Council in Chapter 92, Section 72 of the Acts of 2022, quote, to detail a sufficient number of police officers or constables for each building that contains the polling places for one or more precincts at every election therein, to preserve order and to protect the election officers and supervisors from interference with their duties, and to aid in enforcing the law relating to elections to the chief of police or his designee. His or her designee.
Second.
I believe that this is this was sent to us by the town clerk in regards to a change in the law. I believe it was passed in June. Addie?
Hello. So it's always been the practice that I send a memo to the police chief at the time, whomever it may be, and they put the bid up at the police station because it's all contractual. It's not, I can't pick or choose whatever police officer I want. It's, as the police chief will adhere to, that it's up to the bidding process. Am I correct?
If I could again, Mr. Chair, it's collective bargaining. This law was a little bit confusing when Madam Clerk and I first discussed it. Originally, when I read it, it appeared that the council was supposed to select officers to move to polling precincts to ensure safety and voter fraud or no voter fraud. We can't do that. Collective bargaining-wise, we have to bid every single shift according to a numerical list that changes every single day of the week. So this wording of this agenda item is exactly what we have been doing, and I recommend that we keep it this way because it stays in line with the collective bargaining agreement.
Very good.
Oh, okay.
Any discussion? Very good. All those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous of all present. Item number 18, vote to accept the amended warrant for the state primary scheduled for September 6th, 2022.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Very good. All those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous of all present. Madam Clerk, did you get all the signatures necessary? Yes. Very good. Thank you. Item number 19. Vote to approve the Airport Commission request to apply and accept an 80% grant from Massachusetts Department of Transportation, MassDOT, for the engineering and filing of an NOA, Notice of Intent, with the Southbridge Conservation Commission for replacement of old fencing surrounding the airport with new 8-foot fence, and allow the town manager to sign all related documents. Once the notice of intent is filed, the Airport Commission will be able to apply to MassDOT for funds to replace the fencing over the next 3 years. The total project cost is $22,500, and the town share is $4,500 coming from airport funds.
So moved. Second.
Second.
Thank you very much. I'm asking for an amendment to this as well, to add the following words at the very end, and allow the town manager to sign any related documents.
So moved.
I'll second.
Second.
Very good. Any discussion on the amendment? Very good. All those in favor? Opposed?
Can I- Yes.
Certainly.
I just want to thank Mr. Clements for coming up here. I know last time we kind of pushed this back and then we didn't need to have him, and now we've got him, but we didn't need him. So thank you so much for all you guys do over there.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Very good.
I don't have a problem,
Council
Mr. Chairman.
Steves.
I just wanted to clarify that maybe I should have said this in the motion when I sent it to you, but I didn't have it in front of me. Just to clarify, the town share is coming from the Airport Enterprise Fund.
Say again, please.
I said the town share is coming from the Airport Enterprise Fund specifically.
Right. Any other discussion? Very good. All those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous of all present. Item number 20, vote to approve the insurance transfer request to fund increases for fiscal year 2023 property and casualty insurance due to reductions in participation credits and rewards and larger than expected rate increase at 11% as follows. From account number 610-450.576100, $3,000, to account number 610-450.574000, water insurance, $3,000. From account number 600-440.574000, uninsured sewer backup, $5,601, to account number 600-440.574100, sewer insurance, $5,601. From account number 094-000.571000.0300, workers' compensation, school, $20,000. To account number 094-000.574000.0300, property and casualty insurance, school, $20,000. From account number 019-00000.527400, property repair, maintenance, and demolition, account $5,000, amount $5,000, to account number 094-000-000.574000.0300, property and casualty insurance, school, $5,000. And from account number 019-000-000.527400, property repair, maintenance, and demolition, $26,000, to 094-000-000.574000, property and casualty insurance, town, $26,000.
So moved.
Need a second?
Second.
Thank you. Mr. Manager.
This was brought by Ms. Harnois. Unfortunately, could not be here this evening. As she indicated, we had some reductions in participation credits and an increase. We have had a couple larger than usual losses in the past, and that usually translates into a reduction in some of the credits. So I would just ask for Ms. Harnois that the council approve the transfers.
Any discussion? Very good. All those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous of all present. Item number 21, vote to ratify commercial lease agreement between the Town of Southbridge, the Southbridge Airport Commission, and Joshua G. Letendre of Josh's Place LLC for a diner restaurant facility located at 220 Airport Access Road, also known as the Airport Diner. The lease is for a period of up to 5 years at monthly rent payment of $875.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Manager.
As I indicated earlier in my announcements, we had gone out for the third time for a bid, an RFP on the diner. We've had interest in the past, but it's never materialized in a bona fide bid. This time we came in, and it's someone who has experience. I talked to Mr. Clemens the other night about it. We had a minimum amount that we were looking for. This person, as I said, brings the experience, offered more than, we offered. So when we went through, my staff and I looked at all the qualifications. Even though there was one bid, he still ranked very high in all the criteria based on his experience. He provided menus. He provided a highly advantageous price. So I spoke to Mr. Clemens, and he said, given that it's one, he would be in concurrence. I'm noticing right now, and I hope it's not an issue, we have part of the lease, the beginning and the end. I was not available when this was added. We added it last minute when I called Councilor Steves, but this was a commercial lease provided to us by our council, KP Law, which was tailored for the airport. And when I say it's up to 5 years, it's a 3-year lease with an option to extend for up to 2 years.
Councilor Ryan.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Through you, just one question because I wasn't able to make the meeting. I was unfortunately sick last week. To Mr. Clements, is this the standard amount, the $875 a month? Is that the standard amount for a rental of a business property in town? Is that market rate?
I couldn't tell you if it's market rate. The last leaseor was about $170 less. So our whole focus is to get somebody in the diner and get it established. That's why, as town manager said, go with a 3-year term and renew it with 2 more. It's going to take someone, at least a year and a half to really get it established in the facility. So, we're looking to get it open. It helps bring planes in, which helps us sell fuel, which is, dollars into our airport funds. So I think it's, for what we have for facility, I think it's a good amount.
The reason I ask is because it's no secret to anybody that rent, both for commercial and personal property, is through the roof, right? If you go as a private individual, if you try to go rent a business or rent a place for a business or rent a place to live, rent is going up. And I think it's important that, and I understand the perspective of the commission that they want to make sure there's somebody in there. I also think it's important that we go with the market rates as well to make sure that we're acting as a fair partner in the community compared to what market rates are. I think there's an opportunity here to take a lot of that money that's coming in and use it to invest it back into the property, use it to invest back into our community. So that's it. I just wanted to state that for the record. Thank you.
Councilor Montigny.
Thank you. I do agree with the previous speaker. $875 it seems pretty low. I don't think I could find a 1-bedroom apartment in Southbridge for that price. But my other concern, and I know the manager through you, just spoke about the change in the lease. The way I'm seeing it from the packet, and maybe this is what you're talking about, it says number 3 type of transaction, $875 lease or rental for a 5-year term. Is that the amendment that you mentioned? Because I don't see it say 3 years with, and then 5, because I am concerned about what happens to us if the business shuts down after a year. Because I liked how it was written on the agenda, up to 5 years, almost seemed like month to month. I know that's not a business transaction that you normally would do, but Yeah, the price was a little low, and then if you could speak to that, if you don't mind, through you.
So the price being low, my recollection, we talked about the price, our prior tenant was in there. This is the third time we went out with the RFP, and the minimum bid was $675 a month. And it had, we bid it, I want to say in late December, early January, in around the March, February time frame, and then we put this back out towards the end of May, I want to say. And we've done publication, we got news stories from the Telegram and Gazette to cover what was going on. Ms. Dean helped and put it out to various networks. We tried to contact restaurant owners. We put it out in a couple places. It's been out on state bid publication called Combuys, advertised on our website and advertised in the Telegram and Gazette. At one point, we started in the Southbridge News, but we decided to go for a larger audience. And as I said, the first time we bid it, we didn't get anybody. The second time, we got incomplete bids. And this time, we got someone who had everything, the experience menu, a business plan, all the things that we would have wanted. And to date, it was higher than the previous bids in terms of how much they were willing to pay for rent. So that addresses that.
Fair enough.
The commercial lease, as was provided to me by our council, it was a 3-year lease, and if they breached the lease, obviously our council would be responsible. We would take action on that, but there was the right to extend for up to 2 years, and so that's how it was written. So that's why I had asked in the motion for up to 5 years. We were going to ink it as a 3-year deal with the right to extend up to 2027.
Well, just to finish my comments, as long as that's amended properly, I support it, and I do support Mr. Latender. I appreciated that he has experience at the Red Baron Diner, so I would imagine he'll be able to get this up very quickly, having already worked in the building. So thank you for answering the concerns, though.
Councilor Adams, then Councilor Steves.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, through you. This is actually to Councilor Ryan. Maybe I just didn't hear you right. Did you say the rent was too high?
No, I was saying I wish we had charged a market rate comparable to what is being offered compared to this one, which is historically, not just on this one, but on previous leases, has been much lower than even average one-bedroom rent payments.
So, okay, thank you, Councilor Ryan. What I was impressed with, that there was a cost analysis and a breakdown of a 1-year plan on what it's going to possibly cost, and I believe he said it was going to be conservative nature. And I want to, again, I'm going to kudos where kudos are deserved to Rick. I appreciate all the due diligence you and the commission have done, and the town manager pushing this through. I know it's been a long period of time, and the HR department get this out there to the public. Thank you so much.
Very good, Councilor Steves.
Thank you. Yeah, I think it's a great idea that we're finally getting something done here. One question that I have, that I kind of took a quick look at the Mass Corporations database, and unfortunately there is no listing for Josh's Place LLC or Joshua Latender.
I don't know, I couldn't quite hear you.
I said I looked at the Mass Corporations database. I've got the page up in front of me. There is no listing for Joshua Latender or for Josh's Place LLC. It doesn't exist. Have
well,
they filed?
I don't know exactly, but I
Have they
believe
filed
that-
the legal paperwork to do this?
I believe they're going to form that corporation. The town manager had more discussion with the bid folks, so I think they're going to form it maybe after they win it. So that will be the corporation going forward, if that's an official name that they gave us.
Okay. Well, as long as they do it.
Well set.
I guess so. at the moment,
Great.
yeah.
Councilor Oswald.
I'm voting in favor of it. One, the gentleman is qualified to run that business. Two, I share the vision of the Airport Commission where they are creating a destiny in Southbridge. And when it's a destiny, people come. I know that I've been up there when it's a very busy airport on weekends, and the diner was very busy prior to the passing of the former owner. So I think sharing that vision of what that's going to be and where it's going, I think it's perfect. And I think the price, I understand what everybody's saying, that the prices are through the ceiling. I think getting somebody consistently operating a business there, it's like an incubation period. Once you get him going and he goes in 3 years, who knows if we renew, if there'll be an adjustment at that time if the business is booming that well. But right now, I think I think, economic development, let's have an incubation business, get him started. He's very qualified. Let's see where it goes.
Anyone else? Mr. Manager?
When we did the motion, what I did was I said Joshua Tender of Josh's Place LLC, because he signed in one place as Joshua Tender, the individual, and in another place he put Josh's Place LLC. So what might be appropriate, I'll leave it open, maybe a friendly amendment to that, a condition that he provide, the proper documentation for the corporation if he's going to sign the lease under the corporate name.
That makes sense.
Do I have a motion to amend?
I'll make that motion.
Very good.
I'll second that amendment.
Very good. So the amendment is to,
Just to provide all necessary corporate documents prior to execution of the lease, so that if he's going to sign it as Josh's LLC, we have that there. If he's going to sign it as an individual, then it's understood that he's signing it as himself.
very
And
good.
can I, Mr. Chair, can I add to that amendment while we're doing it, and I make it longer? I'm assuming the town manager will be signing all related documents to that, correct?
Yes.
So to add that as well as part of the language
Okay.
for the amendment.
Second.
Second, yep.
Okay, we have an amendment. All those in favor?
May I, real quick? I just wanted to add that he did write in here that he would provide the EIN number to us when the registration's complete, so I think it's all going to go just fine.
Yep.
But thank you for the amendment.
Okay, we have an amendment. A second on the amendment. All those in favor of the amendment? Opposed? Unanimous of all present. Okay, the motion has been amended. Any more discussion on the amended motion? Very well. All those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous of all present.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item number 22, vote to accept the lowest bid of $415,000 to upgrade Capillo Park and McGann Fields using park funds and approve entering into an agreement with JAM Corporation and allow the town manager to sign all related
So
paperwork.
moved.
Second.
Councilor Adams?
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and I'll let Ms. Dean speak on this, but we did hold this off the last meeting on behest of the town manager. So when it went to subcommittee, it was I believe a 4-0 or 5-0 vote in favor of this for JAM Corporation to take hold. Thank you.
Ms. Dean?
Sure, I hope it's very self-explanatory. This was the lowest bid. You were provided the bid results. 3 came in. This was by a landslide, $280,000 less.
Discussion. Councilor Adams?
Just want to add in there that under civil spaces, under the town's website, if you want to take a look at the Capillo Park and all that kind of stuff, the design, all the way to Henry Street, it's right there online, which is actually trending through social media for a lot of our residents. So thank you, Ms. Dean, and to all those, or probably Abby, who may have put that together, and that way the town. I think that was one of the things that Councilor Marquetti had said he wanted to get more information flow out there, and I think that's a perfect spot for it. Thank you.
Mr. Manager?
And I would just like to comment, Ms. Dean knows this, I want to thank Mr. Tonelli of JAM. We postponed this because there was a couple of details that we had to work out, and he and I managed to connect several times in that week to ensure that we would have the low bid, which came in very favorably, and we got some good recommendations along the way as well. So I just want to mention that we've already got off on a good start working with JAM.
Very good. Anyone else? Very good. All those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous of all present. Item number 23, vote to approve applying for the Department of Transportation Safe Streets for All DOT SS4A planning grant for $60,000 due September 15th, contingent on a 20% local match, and allow the town manager to sign any related documents.
So moved.
Second.
Councilor Adams.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, through you. That was at our last subcommittee meeting. Voted unanimously in favor of. I just want to make note before somebody throws me a point of order that the agenda item right below it is the 20% match. that we're requesting as well. One thing that was brought up, we do have a capital projects plan that is put in. We put $250,000 in there. We did have a lengthy discussion to take, not to utilize the capital money, but try to find another account, which Ms. Harnois was gracious enough to take a look at, and which well, I should say Matt, because I'm going to mess up your name every time, Matt. It was gracious to give up the extra funds for some of that, for the project itself. So I want to thank them for being team players on the whole thing. But again, the 23 and 24 will combine as far as our 20% match.
Very good. All those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous of all present. Item number 24, vote to transfer $12,000 from project number 64600, DPW Building Repairs, to Department of Transportation Safe Streets Grant to provide the 20% local match share.
So move.
Second.
Any discussion? Councilor Marquetti.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, through you. When I was at the Planning and Development Subcommittee, originally this had been, the match was coming from the capital stabilization account.
Thank you.
And Councilor Adams and his committee, they agreed that we should not touch that account for now. We want to let that account build up. That's for future planning of capital improvements. But what I don't understand is why now are we using DPW building repairs for this 20% match? There are a lot of accounts that we could be using. A building repair, I would think we'd want to keep that for building repair. There's a DPW sidewalk repair. There's money left in there in the account for the Central Street parking lot. I actually asked that we just use plain old stabilization funds for this. And so I would make a motion to amend this to use the stabilization money instead of DPW building repairs.
I second the motion for point of discussion.
Very good. Discussion on the amendment.
Karen
Go ahead,
identified this account. It's, I believe, from FY16, and we weren't able to identify exactly what DPW building repairs it was intended for, but likely in the 5 or 6 years that's passed, the prices on whatever it was intended for have increased dramatically, and if we were to proceed with whatever repairs it was intended for, we would likely have to come back to council for additional funds anyway. So I thought it was a good idea to use the funds now for a project that we can move forward with now.
Councilor Steves had his hand up first.
Thank you. Through you to Matt, if you can tell me. So it doesn't say what on the transfer request from how much money is actually in this account?
21,000.
21,000. Thank you. Oh, it does say it. Okay.
What's that?
Yeah.
Very good. Councilor Lazo.
Matt, this money has been in that account since 2016?
That's my understanding. It may be FY16 or FY17, I believe.
I see. And I do agree with you, the material and supplies will not match today's standards. Mr. Chairman, for further discussion, we're going to, I think next budget session, we're going to be looking at a lot of dusty corners where money sits for 5 years. But in this case here, I don't have a problem taking out a DPW. I made a motion to do this, but I'd like to dust out all those corners. And if I could use the DPW money, either way, I'm all right with it.
Councilor Adams.
Okay, to Councilor Lazo's point, thank you, Mr. Chair. I've already asked Heather when she has some time to go ahead and consolidate that. I think it's something we should do every year as we take a look at capital projects that are not being utilized. That's how we found almost $400,000 a few years ago, and we continue. I think it was something that should be on a tickler and say, just review it, take a look. I will say this: if we're going to discuss taking out stabilization money, we might as well take out capital stabilization money if we're going to go there. I think that the capital stabilization money is what this is for. But I agreed to utilize, to ask Karen to do the research, in which she did do the research and found this extra funds, and I'm not in support of taking it out of our regular stabilization funds at this point.
Councilor Marquetti.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, through you. That's a fair enough argument. I see your point. But the point I'm trying to make, this DPW building repairs is for building repairs. And it was actually FY18. The sidewalk, DPW sidewalk repairs, that makes more sense to me. I mean, doesn't this have to do with something with safe streets? Or that's an FY16, the sidewalk repairs. So I don't know why that wasn't capitalized before the building repairs. But I see your point. Point well taken. Thank you.
Any other discussion on the amendment? Very good. All those in favor of the amendment? Those opposed? Motion fails. The amendment fails, 1-8. Very good. We have the original motion on the floor. Any further discussion? Very good. All those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous of all present. Item number 25, vote to approve entering into an agreement with the owner of 111 Central Street to hire Graphics Unlimited to furnish and install rigid awnings for $24,856 from the Community Development Block Grant Fiscal Year 19, CDBG Fiscal Year 19, and allow the town manager to sign any related documents.
So moved.
Second.
Councilor Adams.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, through you. This is what CDBG funds are utilized for awnings and purposes like that. At this point in time, it's for 111 Central Street. There was discussion on a possible sale of this piece of property, but regardless of which way, if it's sold or if it's not sold, the soft lien will be placed on the property itself, as we've done in the past. So regardless if it's one company or the owner at this point in time, that soft lien, if approved this evening, will go on that piece of property. And I hope I spoke correctly on that one.
Ms. Dean.
Sure, and I do think it might help to add that the two parties involved are Gabe McCarthy and his 40% interest in U-All Realty, and so it's going from his name into U-All. Either way, it will be with them. And they are signing the agreement, both of them.
Councilor Steves.
Yeah, a quick question through you to Peg. So have we done business with Graphics Unlimited before?
We have. We've had a lot of success with them, actually. I've gone out for quotes. If anyone wanted to request records of my past pursuit of quotes using through the commercial rehab program. And they, for instance, completed the 22 Hamilton. We consulted with the Historical Commission, and they were pleased with the work. I think that their design for the 111 Central was the cheapest that we could get. Having both those experiences, I'm very pleased with them.
Good to know. Thank you.
Anyone else? Very good. All those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous of all present. Item number 26, vote to approve accepting the quote from Soper Construction Company for McCann Field's Little League Field expansion for $6,140 from the Community Development Block Grant Fiscal Year 20, CDBG Fiscal Year 20, and allow the town manager to sign all related documents.
So moved.
Second.
Councilor Adams.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So I know Mr. Drew can probably respond better than any of us when it comes to Little League Baseball, but it's good to see that entire area being looked at, from lights to the expansion of the baseball diamond itself. And I appreciate our now new full-time rec director being here as well, and obviously Ms. Dean to help them move this forward. So I'll let them speak on this item themselves. Thank you.
Sure. So as was discussed in the subcommittee meeting, when we drafted the application, we pulled from the McCann Master Plan, which was drafted back in 2015. We pulled a la carte items that we could tuck within an $80,000 project, one of which was a scoreboard. Consulting with the rec director, I warned him that because of price escalation, we may have to forego one of the 4 items we'd applied for, which was the fencing, the backstop, fencing for the backfield, backstop netting, the shade structures for a couple at both fields, and the scoreboard. It was determined that the scoreboard is the least relevant, and then it was an opportunity for us to have a more productive conversation about what would be helpful and what would be cheaper. And so we're looking to expand the field, and I'll let Mr. Paradis expand on why it would be useful.
Thank you, everyone. The reason for this kind of bridges a gap between the 2 fields that we have here in town as it is. Currently, right now, Little League goes up, actually up until the age of 16, but the field that we have down at Henry Street really only facilitates kids up to the age of 12. What we're doing here is we're expanding the infield to accommodate those kids that are not quite ready to go to the regulation size baseball fields of the 60-90 levels. So that's what this is for, is to help bridge that gap and still leave kids an opportunity to play that may not be strong enough to play at that regulation size baseball field.
Very good. Council Lazo.
I just want to comment, the youth is the future of Salisbury. I want to thank you, Drew, for doing the work that you do and your volunteer work. Love the red. Thank you.
Thank you.
Council Steves.
Yeah, a quick question through you to either to him or Peg. I don't know, whoever can answer it. I just wanted to clarify how this is going to work with the one that we voted back on number 22 to upgrade Capillo and McCann Fields.
Inherent in this vote is the approval of the infield expansion according to the grant guidelines. As long as it's not a major change, it doesn't need to go for an amendment in any way. It's still within the activity. It's still within the progress. They are so pleased that after spending money on a plan back in 2015, you're finally going forward with some of the initiatives that were baked into that plan. So
I think it's a
yes,
great idea.
I think that they're very happy with the work that's being done to this wonderful neighborhood park.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure that we time it properly so that you don't have like contractors chipping over each other and so forth.
Contractually,
Yeah.
this is allowable.
Good.
Councilor Rivas.
I just want to say, having grown up in that area and having gone to Henry Street, since I was a kid, it is wonderful to see all of the investment in our youth and in our community in that specific area. And I commend all of you for all of the hard work and really bringing to fruition all of, over the years, all of the money that was promised, but really making it, putting the money where our mouth is. And that's amazing. And I know that talking to residents in that area, that they're going to be over the moon about all of this progress. So thank you.
It's all credit, again, to volunteers like Drew, and I'm just the money. I feel like Mike Brunell, as the new rec director, has really been wonderful at making sure we're talking to the right people about what we should be advocating for, who should be advocating for these needs.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Very good. All those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous of all present.
Thank you. Have a good night. Stay cool.
Thank you. Item number 27, vote to ratify the agreement with Ty and Bond for design services related to Cohasset Reservoir Pumping Station improvements for $29,000 to be funded from project account number 63710, Cohasset Water Pump Replacement, and allow the town manager to sign all related documents.
So moved.
Second.
Councilor Marquetti.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, through you. This was voted 5-0 in favor. I support it, but I wouldn't mind an explanation from Matt, you being an engineer. First, if this is just a pump, why do we need an engineering company to do this? And why $29,000? It seems kind of high. I'm not Not saying I oppose it, I just was like a explanation. Thank you.
This is a pump that pumps water from Cohasset Reservoir, which is in the Cohasset Reservoir, Cohasset Brook watershed, over to Reservoir number 4, which is in the Hatchet Brook watershed. It needs to overcome a great deal of head pressure in order to pump that water over, and that needs to be engineered. We don't know the proper sizing for a modern pump for this project, and within Ty and Bond's scope is a 3D mapping of the pump station to make sure that the pumps will fit in the configuration that they're proposing within the pump station that we have, the pump station building that we have. The need for this project has been a long time coming. It's an old pump, I believe, original to the 60s, I believe. And we've known that it needed to be replaced for some time. This project account that we're proposing to pay for it from, I believe, is a FY16 account or FY17, somewhere around that time period. It's not, but it was never moved on until now. Back in June, the pump finally failed, and we are unable at this point to bring water from the from Cohasset Brook, the reservoir on Cohasset Brook, to reservoir number 4, where it can be brought to the water treatment plant. Especially with worries about drought, although we are pretty well in a good position right now with good reservoir capacity. With the worries about drought, I want to get this pump station up as soon as possible so that we can bring water over in an emergency circumstance. Typically, we start pumping water over from Cohasset into 4 in order to address color and water complaints, keep the water fresh. It starts to stagnate in reservoirs 4 and 3, so we bring water over from Cohasset to keep it fresh. In this case, and we usually at that time pull from reservoir 5 directly to the water treatment plant. Instead, because the pump is down, we're currently trickling water down from 5 to 4 to 3 and pumping from 3 to the treatment plant in order to address the color and odor complaints that would usually arise. And we've been handling it as well as typical years with Cohasset online, but we want to get it online as quickly as possible. Luckily, the water department manager had already been in discussions with Ty and Bond, so they were able to quickly offer this proposal to us too. And it's in line with the cost that we would expect for a pump upgrade at a water pumping station, similar to this one.
All right. I'm all set. Thank you.
All set. Great. Council Steves.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Matt, it kind of just jumped in my mind. Maybe I should have asked this at DPW, but it didn't occur to me. Does DEP have any issue with the fact that you would have to do this work because we have to go from one watershed to another?
It's all part of the Quinnebog Valley
That's what I
watershed, so they're sub-watersheds
Right.
to Quinnebog Valley, so it's not a problem that we pump from one into the other. DEP's only comment on this was at one point they wanted us to have 2 pumps so that we had redundancy basically at any time, but they've backed off on that, and that's not what we're proposing. We're proposing to install 1 pump and have a spare on hand for replacement purposes in case the installed pump goes down in the future.
Thank you.
Councilor Rivas.
Through you, Chair. Will this help resolve the color and odor issues?
It's one way that we can resolve the color and odor issues. The color and odor issues arise when reservoirs 3 and 4, which are shallower, sit stagnant. That can happen because we pull from 5, which is deeper, and so we get less color and water problems from there. But once we're pulling from 5, then we're no longer pulling from 4 and 3. So they tend to stagnate, and water's not going through 4 and 3 because it tends to go, the sequence is from 5 to 4 to 3. So this is one of the ways, besides trickling down from 5 to 4 to 3, that we can address water and color issues.
Thank you.
Odor and color issues, sorry.
Councilor Dow.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, through you. Just the way it's written to design service related, and then at the bottom say water pump replacement. So the 29,000, it's for both or
Just
the
design.
design?
Just the design.
So later on, you're going to come back and ask for more money for the water pump replacement?
No, the money's already there, assuming that this account has, I'm sorry, I don't have it in front of me, but I want to say it's 200,000 or more in it.
So the reason why we designed, because the original pump is not keeping up, you say, or?
The original pump is dead.
Okay, so why wouldn't replace the same size if that?
It's a
is
pump
good?
from the 60s, and it's not a modern pump. We need to modernize the pump. It's not a one-for-one. And nobody at the town is qualified to engineer that.
But you don't think 29,000 just to engineer a pump was dead, we're going to replace it as much?
It's in line with what we would expect.
Thank you.
Very good. Anyone else? Okay. All those in favor? Opposed? One opposed. Motion passes. Item number 28, vote to ratify the Winter Recovery Assistance Program, WRAP, contract with MassDOT and allow the town manager to sign all related documents.
So moved.
Second. Councilor Marquetti.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, through you. This was voted 5-0 in favor. I did ask if we could get some additional information on this one. Mr. Desjardins told me to Google it. I did. So from what I'm reading here, the project has to start, cannot start until July 1st, 2022, so you're okay there. But also the fundings have to be used by June 30th, 2023. Obligating funding towards a project does not count as spending. So you're going to have to use this money before June 30th, 2023, correct?
Correct.
And you think you're going to be able to use it? I don't even know how much you're going to get, but
Yes. So this is this was a program that was approved by the state. It provides about half of the amount of our Chapter 90 allotment. I think the number is just is 266,000 and change. And as Mr. Marchetti pointed out, it needs to be spent during fiscal year 23. It can be, it's the scope of things that it can be spent on is narrower than Chapter 90. It's mostly related to resurfacing of streets and sidewalks, though there's a few other ancillary types of projects that it could be used for. So yeah, this money does not roll over like our Chapter 90 funds do, so we want to approve this contract as soon as possible so we can start spending money under this program and get reimbursed on it before the end of next fiscal year, or this fiscal year.
What's that? Very good. All those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous of all present. Item number 29, vote to ratify the statement of work from the Department of Mental Health Master Agreement Jail Arrest Division Program effective July 1, 2022 through June 30, 2023 for a total not to exceed $25,000 to support up to 8 to 10 police officers to attend crisis intervention training and for reimbursement costs to conduct a mental health first aid MHFA training and allow the town manager to sign all related documents.
So moved.
Second. Council Lazo.
Vote was unanimous of all present on this issue.
Very good. Any discussion? Councilor Ryan.
I just want to say, I'm really happy that this is going forward. If it does go forward tonight, the amount, I have to commend the police chief and the police department for this. You know, their work on understanding how important mental health is and how officers respond to mental health crises can affect those situations. It's really important that officers understand that. So I'm really happy to see that the police chief and the PPP were able to bring this up, because supporting the training of our officers on these issues as they're becoming more prevalent, and especially since 9 times out of 10, if there's a mental health call, unfortunately or fortunately, depending on the circumstance, the police are called. So making sure they're properly trained and able to handle those situations is really important. So I thank the police chief and I thank the PPP subcommittee for bringing this forward. This is really important.
Very good. Councilor Steves.
I'm just wondering, is there, through you to the manager, I guess, is there a similar program for the fire department? Because they also will see those kinds of cases and often get called for emergencies like that.
I see Chief Woodson stepping up.
If you can answer that.
Again, at this time, no. This is law enforcement only training. I don't know what's going to happen in the future, but right now it's just law enforcement.
I'm glad that you're doing it. It would be nice to see if we have something like that available to do the fire department as well, because I completely agree with what Councilor Ryan was saying. And unfortunately, from what I understand, the availability of trained counselors is woefully short. And so we need as many people who are going to be first responders to have a background in some kind of mental health capacity to bridge that gap until people can get the kind of care they need.
Mr. Manager.
I'd just like to comment on Councilor Steve's point. I think either chief could probably mention this, but a growing trend, we did it in my last community, and there's occasionally grant money out there. A number of communities are trying to bring in community outreach coordinators, which are effectively an in-house social worker, because they're finding that if they have such a person on staff, they're able to go to a lot of these calls with the first responders and then take over the scene to allow the police or the fire to go back to the station or address other calls when they actually become more of a social or a mental health situation. So it's something in the back of my mind. I've talked to some of the staff and I brought it up to the chiefs. So, if we can find money or there's a grant that presents itself, it's something that I'd like to bring back to the body, because as Councilor Ryan mentioned, and I know I've talked to Councilor Rivas about similar types of issues, it's a growing problem in all communities, and it'd be something good that we could get our arms around. So.
In fact, I thought we had a contract with them. I know we do something. We've had them off and on for years. I don't know if they're currently in the police department or not, but.
Very good. Councilor Rivas.
Just to kind of like answer Gus's question through the chair, I know that the police department has a contract with New Hope, and there is an advocate there. But I had a question about the training and whether we are partnering, sort of in the same vein as New Hope. We have quite a few social service agencies that do mental health care and services. Are we partnering to kind of further solidify that collaboration between our agencies and our community?
Yes, we work, and we have been for years with Riverside, and we've been working with Harrington Hospital also. So for years now. This just adds to it, it's just extra training.
All set? Very good. Councilor Lazo.
Chief, what happens now? I mean, I notice we've had issues on the streets, the main street. There's a particular gentleman that constantly is banging his head off the electrical telephone box by the Whitford building. He looks like he's in a bad way. What happens with somebody like that? How do we help him? Or how do we, something's going to happen because something's going to let go.
Yeah, and I can answer that. I'm very familiar with that gentleman. There's actually several people in our community that have issues. We've worked with them. We've tried getting them involved in some of these programs. We've worked with family because a lot of them don't have the ability to make those kind of decisions. We've had them treated at the hospital by psych services, psych emergency services, inpatient, outpatient, and they get released. We're not authorized to make those decisions. We try to protect them, protect the public. We bring them for treatment, but when the people providing the treatment decide that they're okay and they're safe and they're medicated properly, they get re-released, and we seem to be dealing with it constantly. We're trying to work out we'll say a more permanent solution, but as of right now, I mean, we're doing the best we can do. I think a lot, and not to besmirch or say anything negative about any other agency, but I believe we're fulfilling our obligations to the community, and we put them in the proper settings, social settings. It's not a police issue. It's not alarm. They don't need to be arrested. They don't need to be checked. That's going to do nothing. They need long-term help, medication, treatment, therapy, things like that, and we're working on that. But it's a constant grind where they get released. Same thing on the criminal side. We arrest the criminals. They get released quickly. It's just kind of like we're working on it. We're doing everything we can to address it. And again, we partnered with some great people. There were a couple organizations that I wasn't even aware of till a couple of years ago. Now there's more funding coming from the federal government, and they've kind of stepped up, filled some holes in the systems. It's really no one's fault. It's just they're overwhelmed because there's so many mental health issues right now. So to answer that question, I know that gentleman in particular you're talking about by first name. We deal with him often. And it's being decided by powers higher than me that he's not a threat to the community, so they keep releasing him. But I understand what you're saying completely. I see it with my own eyes. I get out, talk to him, make sure he's okay, and he's out again the next day.
Thank you.
Very good. Anyone else? Very good. All those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous of all present. Item number 30, vote to apply for and accept the State Department's 9/11 fiscal year, 9/11 fiscal year 2023 training grant in the amount of $56,826.40 and allow the town manager to sign all related documents.
So moved.
Second.
Council Lazo.
The vote of subcommittee was unanimous. Confirmation.
Any discussion? Very good. All those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous of all present. Item number 31, vote to apply for and accept the State Department's 9/11 fiscal year 2023 support and incentive grant in the amount of $69,699 and allow the town manager to sign all related documents.
So moved.
Second.
Council Lazo.
The vote was unanimous. Subcommittee in favor.
Any discussion? Very good. All those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous of all present. Item number 32, vote to apply for and accept State Department 911 fiscal year 2023 emergency medical dispatch grant in the amount of $6,335.71 and allow the town manager to sign all related documents.
So moved.
Second.
Council Lazo.
The vote at subcommittee was unanimous. In favor.
Very good. Any discussion? Seeing none. All those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous of all present. Item number 33, vote to accept a donation of $25,000 from the President and CEO of United Lens, Bill Lannon, for the construction of the new animal kennel project and allow the town manager to sign all related documents.
So moved.
Second.
Council Lazo.
The vote was unanimous at subcommittee. In favor.
Thank you. Any discussion? Councilor Adams.
Just want to make note, this is that the United Lens has already donated. We've accepted $100,000. This $25,000 is on top of that $100,000. The other $25,000 will be paid in annual increments to the police. Thank you.
Very good. Anyone else? I'd just like to say thank you to United Lens and Mr. Lannon for an incredible amount of generosity. Obviously showing a lot of love and commitment to the community, and it's definitely appreciated, I'm sure, by all members of the council. I know I do. Thank you very much. Very good. All those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous of all present. Item number 34, vote to approve $200,000 in ARPA funds for the design and build of the animal kennel, and distribution of such funds will be overseen by the town's opera administrator.
So move.
Second.
Councilor Adams.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We voted this, I don't know, 3 weeks ago. We held off onto it till the chief came back. And so we're asking the town council to approve $200,000 for the animal kennel that's been long overdue to get built in this town. And I'm asking that because we're, not only is it overdue, we're getting charged by Oxford to house our animals as well. And so it's time for the town to actually step up and do it. And we have the ARPA funds, and I think this is a good place to put the funds. Thank you. It's voting unanimous, by the way, at the ARPA ad hoc committee.
Councilor Steves.
Quick question to you, to the manager. Do we actually have an ARPA administrator yet?
Ms. Urbanian's here, and she could probably comment, but I know we've interviewed candidates already. I don't know, did you want to comment, Ms. Urbanian? I believe we're at the point where we've narrowed it down, and she could comment more.
Through you, Mr. Chair, we did interview a candidate, and we have another interview this Wednesday, tomorrow, for another candidate. So our first interview candidate, she did really well, so we're excited. And we look forward to interviewing the second candidate tomorrow. So hopefully we'll have someone to present, so you can either confirm or review, whenever we decide to make a job offer.
Okay.
And I should add, Ms. Harnois has been involved in the hiring process
Right.
as well.
Well, actually, I don't think that position comes up for council for confirmation, so I retract that statement.
Okay, I just wanted, I was asking specifically because if we're going to be kicking off the animal kennel project, I just wanted to make sure this person's in place, or maybe we should have this particular spending be put through the town manager's office so that we don't end up causing issues with the kennel project itself, since the kennel project is kind of separately being run as well.
Councilor Adams.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just to clarify, Ms. Harnoy is the ARPA administrator as of this point in time. So she is keeping track with myself on our spreadsheets to make sure we're a one-on-one match. Anything that is being spent, she's sending that also to me, which I will share to the town, the ad hoc committee as well. So it's all there. It's just waiting on some departments to do what they're supposed to do in United Way, and a few others to do what they need to do. But it's all moving in the right direction, and I plan on, just FYI, the next month or so to update the town council once again on where the money's gone, what was spent, where it went, and all that kind of stuff.
Councilor Marquetti.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As long as we're going to be off topic, I guess, I did get an email from United Way, and they wanted to know they were ready to start dispersing some funds to different public service organizations in town. They wanted to know who to contact. I told her to contact Ms. Harnois. Is that correct?
That is correct.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you for not taking me out of order.
Very good. All those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous of all present.
Just want to make note, Mr. Chair. Mr.
Councilor
Chair,
Adams.
thank you. I just want to make note with that $200,000. So far, the town council has approved $3,453, 299, I believe it's, yeah, $3,453 and some change. Remaining amount is $1.5, $1.6 million, and we have a meeting this Thursday at 4 p.m. over here in the conference room. Thank you.
Very good. Agenda item 35, vote to approve the fire department transfer request for fund number 0840 stabilization fund into account number 001220-518200 fire assignments, $8,850. Account number 001220-519200 uniform allowance, $11,325. Account number 001220-515000 holiday pay, $18,450 for a total amount of $38,625.
So move.
Second it.
I believe this requires a two-thirds vote
Yes.
because of the stabilization amount? Yes. Very good. Counsel Lazo.
The vote at subcommittee was unanimous to approve.
Any discussion? Counsel Marquetti.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, through you. I'd like to know why the holiday pay is $18,450. The holiday pay on this list, I just was wondering why it was $18,450.
So holiday is broken down with an additional employee receiving compensation for the full 24-hour period. So that cost is increased into this line item so that we can pay them that additional cost. It also pays the employees that are not working on that particular holiday 8 hours of time to use, to get paid for, excuse me. So that adds up to $18,450.
Okay, thank you. At the subcommittee level, you said,
Can't hear you.
at the subcommittee meeting, you said it was because of the Juneteenth holiday. The Juneteenth holiday, that's what you said at subcommittee level.
That is correct. That is the new holiday that's been added to our collective bargaining agreement. Juneteenth is a new holiday.
But in the FY23 budget, I'm looking at the line item budget for holidays, and Juneteenth was already added. So that's why I was confused by your answer that this was for the Juneteenth holiday. You did add the Juneteenth holiday in the holiday line item and went from $78,600 to $84,750, which was a little over $6,000 increase for Juneteenth. So that's why I'm just questioning why it's now 18. You're adding an additional 18,000 for the Juneteenth holiday.
So through the chair, I cannot budget a holiday that is not approved by the collective bargaining agreement. That's as far as I'm concerned, I believe the town manager, I think, is hopefully looking it up right now. I can't look at that right because I do not have it in front of me. I believe we could not put a budget together and have you guys approve the budget with that holiday in there, because the contract was not even being negotiated.
Okay. Thank you. I mean, it is in the budget. I'm looking at it right
Sir,
here.
I can barely hear you.
It is in the budget. It's right here. Juneteenth holiday was added into the budget for FY23. So I was just wondering why an additional 18,000 is being added when it was already added. The other question is uniform allowance. Can you hear me?
Yep, uniform
All right.
allowance.
Uniform allowance. I'm looking at gear and uniforms. Budgeted $21,700. You're adding an additional $11,000. So gear and uniforms are up to $33,000 now?
Mr. Chairman, if I could comment, excuse me, Chief. This was at subcommittee, it was discussed in length. We settled the fire contract, so all of this money out of this agenda item, and correct me if I'm wrong, TM, that we were advancing this money because of the settlement of the contract.
Through you, Mr. Chairman, that is correct. We did negotiate a variety of changes to the contract in order to fund this. This is what Ms. Harnois has said is necessary.
Right, so Juneteenth, we knew it was coming, but it wasn't in the contract. We knew it was coming, we knew we had to put it in there, and it was part of negotiations, and this is where the money hit the account. That's why I wanted to just interject that. All of this here was explained to be part of the negotiation settlement.
And can I continue?
Yes.
And so you're telling me that gear and uniforms went from $21,700 to over $33,000.
That is correct.
That's the new account.
That is correct.
All right. And fire assignments, what exactly are fire assignments? I see this fire assignments in the budget, just asking what exactly is that for? It was budgeted, I'm sorry, go ahead.
So through collective bargaining, which I've explained at the last meeting, there are particular roles that each of the firefighters apply for and make the fire department continue to work. A quality assurance person, a fire officer. Through the collective bargaining agreement, they got increases in all of those line items.
And the assignments are budgeted at $172,590. And you need an additional $8,850.
That is correct.
Okay, my last question is, have we ever voted on the fire contract? We voted on that? Okay. And
Executive session.
are we going to
They
get
brought
a
it to the floor.
contract? Are we going to see the contract?
Through you, Mr. Chair, we would have brought the MOA, I have, with the assistance of Ms. Rabena, we did an integrated contract where we put all the changes, integrate to the existing contract, and it's been sent off to the fire department, and they are reviewing it. We've agreed to all the terms. Everybody just goes through the syntax. They probably go through with their union representative, and we're waiting for them to okay and sign it. Then I will provide you with the updated, executed one. But the MOA that we signed would have been binding. And I do recall, if I can, for the chief and for Council Marquetti, there was also a parity issue on holiday with many of our first responders. If they're not working the shift, they do get the holiday. And there was a difference between how the police and fire were paid, and that was one of the other things that was adjusted in holiday, which it contributes to the increase in the holiday pay. But you will get, when it's executed by both sides, the formal contract, I'll ensure that you get that.
All right, thank you. That's all I have, thanks.
Anyone else? Very good. Although, we need to vote on this, we'll go. What?
I saw Councilor Ryan put her hand up.
I can't hear you.
It's hard to hear, so I thought you were voting.
Oh, no. Okay, roll call vote.
And this is 2/3 again.
Right, thank you. Counselor Dow?
Yes.
Counselor Lazo?
Yes.
Counselor Marquetti?
No.
Counselor Montigny?
Yes.
Counselor Rivas?
Yes.
Counselor Ryan?
Yes.
Counselor Steves?
Yes.
Counselor Adams is a yes. And Counselor Daniel?
Yes. 8
8
to
to
1.
1.
8 to 1 meets the 2/3 threshold. Motion passes. Item number 36, vote to approve Southbridge Fire Department use of the drone.
So moved.
Second, for the point of discussion.
Very good. Council Lazo.
The vote at subcommittee was 3-1 against having the drone.
Let's start with the chief.
Thank you very much. In your packet are the similar documents that I gave to you at PPP and Deputy Hewlett provided at a general government meeting. I just want to go on record saying that we had two lengthy discussions, once at Councilor Steves' subcommittee and also one at the PPP. I will just go on what I have here right now in front of me. I'll just read it out. It's a couple pages, but we'll get through it. It's actually cooler up here than it is back there. I can tell you that right now. So drone technology is advancing rapidly for the fire departments throughout the United States and increasing leveraging their benefits during firefighting operations. Drones provide rapid deployability, reach, and adaptability to fire departments with improved situational awareness and enhanced disaster response. The recently purchased drone for the use of the fire department was made. The uses for this is primarily for the fire department during emergency situations. We can use this tool that has been added to our toolbox during a fire to locate victims trapped on the rooftops or balconies, evaluating surrounding structures for exposure issues, and giving an incident commander a complete over-the-sky eye view of their efforts of suppressing the fire. This tool will be used for a wide area searches for people lost or injured in the woods. The high-intensity light on the unit will light a path for the first responders to get in and or a path for the hiker or whoever's needing our assistance in the woods. It is a far superior way than we do operate today. Their infrared camera can also identify warm signatures of victims and coordinate the best rescue route, again, in a particular situation where someone was lost. In the past few years, up until most trainings that are happening in Mass Fire District 7, the dive team has had a training session where drones from Auburn Fire and Oxford Police Department participated at the training. Drones can capture the entire operation from the sky, is like I've said, and in some cases can detect a heat signature of a body in the water. Although the thermal imager camera on the drone cannot see through water, depending on how long a victim has been in the water, the thermal imager camera can detect the changing water temperatures around that body. This is a time-sensitive operation, and the difference between a quick grab, if we use the drone, and a resuscitation effort is much quicker. Or we would be using the drone for a slowed-down process of a body recovery. Each year, the heightened brush fire seasons between April and May, we have had several reports of smoke in largely wooded areas in the town by the Charlton Fire Tower. These large areas are remote at best. The drone can immediately be sent up to locate these fires in minutes. This will allow the incident commander or whoever's in charge to find the best route into the fire. Last year, twice we had that call, and both times we had extended times of finding the fire alone, which made the fire much larger in the size due to our searching inabilities without the drone. In non-emergent situations, this tool can be used to evaluate dams, streams, hazard areas of concern. Someone earlier tonight brought up a concern about maybe a hurricane or a tornado coming through making damage. That this would definitely be used in that situation. It also can be used non-emergently for pre-planning fire tactics for large-scale buildings, other departments with situations which would be evaluated by a licensed operator of the drone, and will have the ability to review these areas as long as it falls within FAA regulations and guidelines. Each request will be evaluated by the head of the fire department and the requesting department head. All of these situations have or could happen here in Southbridge, and I feel that this piece of equipment is a new, valuable tool in the toolbox for us to use, and I hope you all agree. Thank you.
Councilors, discussion. All right, we'll start over here. Councilor Marquetti.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Through you. Here we go. There are two issues on the use of this drone. Number one, whether the fire department purchased a drone without council approval, and whether a policy should have been created by the council before purchasing the drone. Now, the drone was purchased using funds from the FY22 Fire Department's operating budget, safety equipment account. According to the Southbridge Home Rule Charter, all general, corporate, legislative, policymaking, and appropriations powers of the town shall be vested in the town council. The safety equipment account lists the following items that the council approved for purchase: extinguishers, nozzles, pike poles, hose gates, air pack replacement, upgrades, fit testing, etc. Nowhere in that account does it mention a drone. Now, the deputy fire chief says he's been talking about a drone for the last 18 months, yet there was no drone in the FY22 or FY23 budget. Now, what does the charter say about the manager's responsibility on providing a budget to the council? In submitting the proposed budget, the town manager shall utilize modern fiscal principles so as to afford maximum information and financial control. I asked where the drone was listed in the safety equipment account, and the finance director said it is the word "etc." Not exactly maximum information or financial control. Does the word "etc." give the fire department carte blanche freedom to spend money on whatever toys they want? The fire chief says we use "etc." because we couldn't possibly list everything we need. I would think "etc." would be used for small items that are needed. An $8,000 drone, I think that should have been listed. Now, I did request invoices from the safety equipment account through the town manager's office. I wanted to see what else is being purchased within that account. I did receive a handful of invoices from the finance director. In the invoices I received, there were some questionable purchases in my mind. There was an invoice for scuba gear. I agree, scuba gear is safety equipment. Not sure it's needed in Southbridge, but I agree.
Counselor.
Yes,
Councilor
sir.
Marquetti, how does this relate to the approving the use of the drone?
Well, I would like to have some leeway on that because we did receive a letter in our packet from Deputy Chief Kulik, and he spoke to the point of how he purchased the drone and how he's purchased other things within the department. So I would like some leeway on that.
Very good.
Thank you. Now, there was also an invoice in the amount of $6,500 from Fire Rescue Training Source LLC for a forcible entry door. This is a door for firefighters to train on kicking in doors. I don't consider that safety equipment. I consider that training equipment. On the invoice, it even says, training for firefighters by firefighters. At no time was there a transfer request from the department to purchase that door. So now I'm asking for all the invoices from the safety equipment account, and the town manager says I'm going to have to pay for the rest of the invoices. I've never heard of counselors having to pay for record requests. What does the charter say about it? The town manager will prepare, assemble, and present to the council the annual town operating and capital budget, shall present said budgets to the council in a format acceptable to the council, and cooperate with the council in all financial matters. Yet in this case, I'm getting no cooperation from the town manager or the finance director. I even asked the chair to intervene, and have yet to receive the invoices. The town manager says he doesn't want to set precedent.
Point of order.
Again,
I'm just asking us to move on, Mr. Chair, to the drone. I understand where Councilor Marquetti's coming from, and I respect that. But we're talking about the drone at this point in time, and I just ask we try to stick to the subject.
again, in our packet is a letter from Hulick explaining how he has purchased, what he's purchased, how he's purchased more things than just a drone. I feel he opened up a can of worms. I'm entitled to talk about this entire issue of the drone. I will wrap it up. How's that?
Thank you.
You're welcome. As I said, the town manager says he doesn't want to set precedent. I have to pay for the invoices. This isn't a court of law, so I don't know why I would have to pay for them. I know that other councilors have asked for documents. Councilor Ryan asked the receiver for budgeted items. We weren't forced to pay for that. The charter also says that the town manager will generate financial records requested by the council chair. I feel it's my job as a councilor to provide oversight on financial matters. I have to vote on the budget. I have to make sure I look out for the taxpayers of Southbridge. So I would like to see those invoices, please. Now, the second issue is whether policy on the use of the drone should have been created by the council before purchasing the drone. In our packet tonight is a policy written by the fire department on use of the drone. Once again, what does the charter say about policy making? All general, corporate, legislative, policy making, and appropriation powers of the town shall be vested in the town council. It is not within the town fire department's purview to make policy. If the council votes to approve the use of the drone tonight, you are voting to accept the policy written by the fire department. My suggestion, the drone should be sent back and the money returned. Or at the very least, the council should vote no tonight on the use of the drone until such time that the council makes a policy and or a bylaw on the drone use. I don't see how you could vote otherwise. Thank you.
Very good. Councilor Marquetti, I'm sorry, Councilor Montigny, and then Councilor Steves.
Thank you. This did get a good discussion at PPP. The issue here is not whether or not we need a drone, because it is clear, based on the things that the fire chief said, that any community could benefit from a drone. The issue is the process and the procedure. And since charter, one that the previous speaker didn't bring up, says that, you know, if the council wishes that there's like termination involved. That's not what anybody wants here. I think it's very clear. We just want to return the drone and start over, because, and you know, it's totally not micromanagement, because online you can find from the NFPA, the National Fire Protection Association, there's a 37-page document that gives tons and tons of information that the town council should have been able to discuss with each other before doing any of this. And I really think it's cut and dry, and this wasn't purchased properly. Nobody has owned up to the mistake of how this was purchased. Everybody keeps saying, but we need a drone. And again, I said at the end of the year, people try to spend their money. I get it. I was a department head. But there needs to just be some accountability. Everybody just keeps, well, we don't really care to hold anybody accountable. No one's going to take the blame. No one's going to stand up and own this. We're not going to return it. We're just going to still fight for why we need the drone. It was like, buy this first and ask for forgiveness later. It's like, no, not when there's so many things on the internet from national fire associations that are telling you exactly how this is supposed to be laid out. I could continue on and on, but it is clear. It's clear this was not purchased property. This could almost deserve its own ad hoc committee before it's purchased because of the liability issues, the no-fly zone because we're a bigger airport now than just a small airport. This is a 5-mile no-fly zone. You barely fly the thing. And I know you can get permission, but it doesn't matter. This was done wrong. Somebody, in my opinion, needs to do something about how this was done wrong. Just come to us, ask us for a drone. We'll do whatever we need to do to get everything in place. There's going to be so many citizens that are going to be crying privacy. They're going to shoot the thing down with their Orbeez guns. Okay. All right? So please own up to that, this process and procedure. Mr. Marchetti hasn't got a solid answer from anybody that he's right, but he's right. It was not done properly due to charter. I mean, too many things are pointing to this process and procedure was wrong. It needs to go back. I'm voting no. Thank you very much.
Very good, thank you. Councilor Steves.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As I mentioned at the GenGov meeting and at PPP, I think, this issue has been hashed out for a long time, and we still have a lot more work to do on this. I think that, I don't agree with some of what Councilor Marchetti said, but I definitely agree with the last things he said there, and a lot of what Councilor Montague just said, because the issue here is the order things are getting done. We still have, as the policy body here, we have a right and a responsibility to create policy for these kinds of things, both in terms of how the town uses it and how the community as a whole deals with the issue of drones. And we don't have anything. As I brought up at GenGov, we're talking about this issue. We just started the ball rolling here. This will take a while. And it should, because we should have all kinds of input, both from everybody here and people out there. You know, if you're watching this, and some of you are, please come down. We'll be talking about this at GenGov for some time to come. So it won't be at the next meeting because that's going to be focused on the wetlands bylaw, but it'll be for some time to come. So we need your input on what you feel about dealing with drones, both in terms of the town's use of drones and in general public use of drones. So I think that I completely understand what you said, Chief, about the benefits of having a drone, and I think a lot of them are definitely good. However, I think it is premature, and I am not going to vote on this either. I'm not going to vote in favor of this either.
Councilor Dow, then Councilor Lazo.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, to you. Question, Chief Woodson, you have one?
He's got a helicopter.
Can be used with both the department at the same, like fire department, police department?
Yes.
Can it be used with the both department? Can you use it? You have use of it?
Yeah, we have access to drones, but not in town.
But it will help you, with a lot of stuff, crime, chasing, looking for somebody?
Possibly, yes.
So you recommend it to have it in town? We own it in the town.
I'll say we have access to drones through a task force that we're part of, through a SWAT unit. I can have a drone here in an hour. I think I told several councilors here, but what the fire chief's concerned about is if we need a drone immediately. So could we use it? Yes. Would it help the police department? Yes. I wouldn't have to wait an hour. But as of right now, to be transparent, I have access to several drones if we need a drone in this community, but it wouldn't be here right away. So if there's some type of emergent situation where you would need a drone immediately, we would have access to it, and it would help the department.
Yeah, if we prove that tonight, the town manager and the two chief, can you put some word together where it's gonna stay and how it's gonna be used?
Yes, absolutely.
So, Mr. Chair?
Certainly.
That has already been put in the process, and we've mentioned that several times. Maybe we could work with a town bylaw. I know we talk about bylaw or policy, but right now, what I've given you all here tonight and several other times is a policy for the fire department. Deputy Hulick is going to get trained on the first round of FAA pilot's license. I will go after that, and then if it's used at any point in time, the two of us can use it. We were going to put a third person through the program that has caliber within the department, probably another officer to do that process. But yes, I think ultimately, overall, this drone would be used for the town for anything that it needs to be done, emergent or non-emergent, as I discussed in my statements.
Thank you.
Councilor Lazo, then Councilor Steves.
To the police chief, are we charged for the use of that drone, or is that like a mutual aid?
Through you, Mr. Chair, no, it's part of SEMLEC, the Central Massachusetts Law Enforcement Council. They have one located in Sturbridge, one in Oxford, and one in Charlton. And if we need access, we're not charged. I believe it's a $1,200 fee per year to be a member of SEMLEC, but that's unlimited services. That's accident reconstruction, that's drone, that's SWAT use, SWAT teams, any type of search warrants. So to answer that question, it's $1,200, but it's for a wide array. It's not just for the drone. It's for a wide array of services. It's a great benefit to the town.
Thank you. I don't know why I would, in business, buy a drone when I had use of a drone through one of our contracts. But going forward, I'm voting no tonight on the drone. It's been mismanaged from the beginning financially and along with the programming of it. I kind of, when I got hit by it, it was, the manager didn't know it was purchased. He got kicked up by our finance director, and then the drone was purchased before we even talked about it. We didn't even know about it. So then I get online and we pull up something. I got a guy, his name is, before becoming an expert drone pilot, Roger Hall spent 25 years as a firefighter and a member of the hazmat dive team. He's also licensed and certified in thermographer. Now he writes a program on drones, which our department could have pulled this up. It was a wonderful document. It actually tells you how to do the process of a drone. First, you establish a program foundation. Then the regulations choose between Part 107 and COA. The local and state legislation. Select the correct aircraft, the payloads, the software, the insurance cost, the comprehensive UAS training, determining your costs, developing an internal policy, gaining support from the community, and there are other steps before you purchase a drone.
Right.
When going forward, I'm looking at it as it never came about. This, whatever you want to call it, budgetary behavior, spending behavior, is not right. Nobody did anything illegal. Councilor Adams and I looked at each other and said, look, nothing was done illegally, but it wasn't done right. And I think I would return the drone back up and rethink this whole program. People want to say, well, we're micromanaging. I've been in government a long time, and government takes a kick in the teeth. The minute they weren't paying attention, somebody down in the rank and files did something, and then they say, where were you? And that's why when you ask questions on a safety account, and it says, et cetera, that's an open, in other words, what's et cetera mean? Whatever you want. We had, if I may go, Mr. Chairman, a little off on an example in another department. We had a department where they tried to keep the money 10,000 or under. So what they did, they took 10,000 from one account, 10,000 from another account, 10,000 from another account, and bought a forklift for 30,000. Now, looking at it, they said, I didn't break any laws. I took 10,000. No, the intent, that's not the intent of the law, of the procurement. And when we do financing, we are the people that need to know. We need to know what we're buying. I mean, we wanted another forestry truck. For 14 forestry calls a year, we have 2 forestry trucks. I think that, we have to be here to say, Chief, I know you're asking for, the best, but you have to look at your affordability, what you want for equipment, are we geared up? I mean, going forward with a brand new station and everything that we're doing, the last thing on my mind would have been a drone. Going off from the fire and police, when they talk about search and rescue, I respect the salesmanship of the fire department and its management team. Search and rescue is police. Amber Alert, state police, local police, search teams, everything. The fire department is called in after the fact to be part of the team.
Wrong.
Just the way I heard it. And when you turn around and look at it, you say, okay, in this document, it says no management person should be the drone operator. We're sending our deputy chief to be the drone operator. Wrong guy. Here's the guy that runs drone, professional. The fire Mr. Montigny came up with the fire division. They came up with that model. They're saying that the town or a department should have a designated person that can use it in town. And it should not be management people. I'm not a drone guy. I'm not a firefighter. As a citizen, I don't want the drone flying over my property. And what surprised me, while the councilors were putting on a debate on the finance, the actual average citizens out there didn't want the drone in the air for privacy reasons, which I was shocked. I thought they would be more upset over, how we put the cart before the horse. And then all of a sudden now we got to back it up. So where we're sitting right now, I'm a no vote. Send it back. If we want a drone, let's do it properly and not put the cart before the horse. Thank you.
Councilor Steves.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. To ask, I should have asked this a few minutes ago. I was curious, you mentioned in the policy, and it's relatively short and fairly vague actually, but for section J1I, it says, ensure that policies are in place to prohibit the collection, use, retention, or dissemination of data in any manner that would violate the First Amendment, blah, blah, blah. Do those policies actually exist?
I couldn't hear a word you're saying. I'm standing right here. I heard something about...
the policy in the policy that we have in our packet,
Yep.
under J1I, it says, ensure that policies are in place to prohibit the collection, use, retention, and dissemination of data in any manner that would violate the First Amendment, and so on. Do those policies exist?
It's written in that policy.
But that doesn't say anything. That says that you shall ensure policies are in place. What
So-
are those policies? They're not
So the
attached.
policy basically is that we're not going to, the recordings that are taken of video, they're not going to be recorded and kept in a data file. In a picture, it's going to be kept in a picture file, and it's not going to be, unless it's used for a legal matter. That type of situation is what that policy, that's the privacy part of it. So.
But we don't have that in print with it's not attached to this policy.
Okay.
It doesn't actually say that. So I think that's a perfect example, I think, of the issue where all of us need to sit down and work out what we need the policies to be for the town to deal with those kinds of details and how that gets implemented. And I understand that you guys have been working on this for a long time, and I appreciate that. And I appreciate the fact that you guys see a need that may in fact exist. I understand the process of the way you decided to buy it, and I don't really have a big problem with that. I'm more concerned with the fact that all of this stuff is coming out now, whereas it should have come out several years ago. And when the process started, before you actually went ahead to buy this device. That's my concern. We should have this stuff on the books already, and then be debating about buying this.
All set?
Yeah.
Very good. Councilor Rivas.
Thank you through the chair. I do appreciate Council Lazo making the statement about it not being illegal, because I believe in both of the subcommittee meetings, that is where it went. And, in reading the charter, yes, the town council does approve the appropriations, and the town manager is responsible as the purchasing agent. We also distinguish between town policy in regards to residence use and a policy for a department. And so through the chair to the town manager, is there a precedent for the town council to dictate departmental policy around safety equipment?
I was actually going to bring that up. It was one of the couple things, and I thought I could address this to both chiefs, but during my time here, I don't know that, in my time in other communities, I don't know that the elected policymaking boards have delved into the standard operating procedures of public safety responses. So I would leave that to Chief Woodson and Chief Norman to comment on whether or not town council has ever stepped into standard operating procedures at your respective stations.
Through the chair, at this time, I can guarantee you that the policies and procedures for the fire department were written solely for the fire department's use. They were dictated and they get recurring updates as need be. The OEMS section is dedicated towards standard operating procedure for EMS calls. Those things we can't, as council, I can't as the chief, even as the chief, make any changes in those treatment protocols. Those are standards across the state. I do believe Councilor Lazo did bring up a point in regards to possibly putting something together at the town level, and Councilor Steve said the same thing. I'm willing to do that. Maybe we were a little bit behind the 8 ball, and I appreciate the members that did say that we did this not illegally. My thought is, as a safety piece of equipment, this fell into that category. The door that Councilor Marchetti spoke about, that is safety. That is a safety piece of equipment that we use, and yes, it could be claused as a training piece of equipment, but that's the safety for our firefighters to get out of a burning building when the door is blocked in front of them. That's safety. That's safety. It's huge. I look at it this way. I made some decisions here. I stick with this decision. I think the drone is a good piece of equipment. I agree with the sides also with what you guys are bringing up as a town council. I'm willing to work together and continue making this project happen. God forbid, and I've said it at both the subcommittee meetings, that we have someone lost in the woods and we can't get to them because we have to wait for a drone for an hour. And then when we get to them, they're passed away. That's not a scare tactic. I've been doing this job for 35 years. Do you know how many people I've seen that happen to? Because we weren't able to get to them. I might be getting on a tangent here, but I think this is an important piece of equipment. I'm willing to do anything that we need to do to make it work for not just the fire department, the police department, the DPW, the town. Let's just move this forward, please.
Mr. Manager.
I'm going to try not to be redundant with what was up here and talked about, but all I want to say in this, I think what everybody said, there's been many valid points. I want to build off of what Councilor Lazo said. I totally agree. Whoever coupled together different line items to put together to buy something for $30,000, that is a capital item. In this particular instant, when I became aware of it, was not something that met the definition of cap. And I do agree, as the chief said, perhaps the order of operations could have been brought to my attention, could have had a little bit more discussion. But I want to just make clear here, the way that we, as Councilor Rivas indicated, we do appropriations. I, as Chief Procurement Officer, have the ability to delegate. We run a $60 million operation. I can't always look at some of the smaller purchases, which is why we delegate. But when this was brought to my attention, I did send out an email. I just want to remind council members that this unmanned vehicle was purchased to make sure that there's transparency. I did not want people to believe that what was going on here was exactly the situation that you had years ago with the forklift. I mean, you talk about intent. I do think the chief and the deputy chief had the best of intentions for the community, and I don't think it was intended to deceive in any way, shape, or form. So, in retrospect, should we have had a little more discussion up front? Yes. But the moment it came to my attention that it was bought, and then Ms. Harnois and I had this conversation, I let you know about it, because that's who we are. We're not out to do anything underhanded. We're trying, again, to do the best that we can for the community, and I want to make sure that we're following proper procedures and letting you know. I just wanted to clarify that. Thank you.
Very good. I want to get councilors in that haven't said anything yet. Councilor Ryan.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Through you, move the question, please.
Very good. We have a motion to move the question.
I'd like to speak, but that's okay.
We can't, it can't be debated.
There's no second.
No second.
No, there's not.
Any second to the motion? You seconded? You second the move? Very good. Okay. So there's no debate. It's not amendable. All those in favor of moving the question, please raise your hand. Those against? 2 to 7. The motion fails. Very good. Next person would be Councilor Montigny.
Thank you very much. All right. Nobody said that anybody violated state law, illegal. It was actually made a point at the PPP meeting to point out that when everybody was using the word illegal, they meant charter violation, which the charter was clearly violated. And now let me first just say something about safety. Everything that the fire department buys is related to safety. It's the fire department. The town manager just called it an unmanned vehicle, which it is. Maybe it should be in the vehicle budget. It just makes a lot more sense. The policies that Councilor Steves were talking about were not created by the council, which the charter says it should have been. Another charter violation. The police chief says he can get a drone here in an hour. We don't have the ability to use this drone yet. We don't have licensed people. They're not even good at using the drone. Like, it would be a long time before this fire station would be able to beat a highly elite team of people from the region and the police to get a drone here and up running fast. And if you guys don't know, like, battery on a drone is like 30 minutes. So like, you have very little time to actually do what you have to do. I was at the event on the Common last Tuesday, and I went into one of the regional, we have access to this, and I saw the drone in the police mobile unit. I talked to the person in charge of that unit who says he has drone operators come in. He didn't refer to them as chiefs or even police officers. He referred to them as drone operators. Okay, what I don't get, it wasn't mentioned until the manager touched upon it just a minute ago. Process and procedure was violated. The illegal that people are talking about, they mean the charter's been violated. And it most definitely has, in more than one way. And that's my opinion. There's no one violating state law. Nobody should be fired.
Counselor,
Yes, I'm sorry.
please.
What?
Well, you're talking about violations of charter and that sort of thing, and that's getting way away from what we're talking about.
This whole thing is a violation of charter. Does anybody not care that violation of charter? Ever approve it? Yeah. I mean, I don't get it. Like,
Could I inquire, Councilor Montigny, which actual provision are you referring to?
I'm sorry?
Which section of the charter are you referring to?
I don't have it in front of me. Councilor Marquetti read it at PPP and here tonight. Multiple times it's been read. I don't have the number. I had the number the other day at PPP where we had this discussion. Councilor Marquetti could read through it again.
But he keeps forgetting to read that first phrase, except that otherwise provided in the charter. And otherwise in the charter, I'm the chief procurement officer. There's a lot of things that can happen elsewhere. You can't just read half a clause in the charter and not, but I digress, and I'm probably out of order.
You didn't violate procurement law at all.
I didn't think I violated the charter either.
Well, okay. I and the 8 other people standing here are the ones that decide whether or not the charter has been violated. That's what we're elected to do. But I'm okay. Thank you very much.
Councilor Lazo, then Councilor Adams.
This issue is simpler than everybody's making it. One, we don't need a drone. You can give me all the salesmanship you want about the little girl in the woods and everything like that. Great salesmanship, I'm used to it. 35 years of department heads coming up here, that's your job. I don't begrudge you to do your job. You did your job. Little inappropriate on how you accomplished it. My thing is, you sit here and you look at a drone. Is that a have-to-have? This is what I do in the private sector. A have-to-have is a vehicle to go do the job. A nice-to-have is like a cherry on the sundae. This is a nice-to-have. This is not a have-to-have. A have-to-have is an ambulance. A have-to-have, a Scott Air Packs. A have-to-have, there's a lot of have-to-haves in your line of business. This is not one of them. So to me, I yield back and I go, I'm thinking about the taxpayers. We can get, we're in a contract or an agreement or a consortium to the police department for $1,200 a year for all these free services. And we're gonna go out and spend $8,000 for a nice to have, which if we could afford it, I guess it's a nice to have. So I live in Southbridge. I worry about the taxpayers. Your tax bill goes up because we spend money. I know I had an in-depth conversation with one of my fellow councilors about the end of the year spending spree. Let's empty the accounts into all the things you wanted. Next year, we need to stop that. This account that we have that had a surplus in it started out with 66,000 in it. We put another 66,000 in it. So I'm sitting back and I'm looking at our department heads to let's tighten up our belts as far as what we put in our budgets. There are some things that you cannot predict. Like you have a bad winter, you didn't budget enough salt, plowing, whatever. But in most of these budgets, there are surpluses in accounts that should not be spent at the end of the year. They should do it, put it back into free cash. You top your free cash number at 300,000 back in the day. And then all the money above that number, whatever today's number is, goes back to levying the tax rate. We haven't levied the tax rate in this town in 20 years. I mean, to actually drop it with excess money, because we hurry up and spend it. Well, now I think we need to relook at that as a council, as a community. We keep taxing. This is nice to have. We don't need a drone. We're in a $1,200 agreement that we can get a drone in an hour. I think in business, we would turn around and say, don't spend $8 grand. I can get it for part of this package. We as councils have to start thinking like that. You're spending money, the bubble keeps bulging and bulging. And when this budget bubble bursts, we're gonna be cutting bodies. And I see it coming. I saw it in the 80s. Thank you.
Councilor Adams.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. My concern, and maybe we should have moved that question, because my concern at this point in time was previous speaker, Councilor Montigny, could open us up to litigation based on allegations that he's not prepared to fight or pay for. So that is my concern on that note. Now, I do have a question. And if anybody doesn't know this, I'm the one who said about micromanagement. It is. I mean, clearly. But, okay, and then this is where it's all going to at this point in time. Just let you guys speak for yourselves if that's what happened. But I will say this, is can you, Chief, send this drone back? Get 100% of our money back?
I have not gotten that answer from the vendor at this point. I reached out to them last week after our last conversation at subcommittee.
I can answer.
Sorry, lost my thought.
I can answer that question.
Yeah,
like.
if the councilor can answer that question.
I did get a copy of the drone invoice. At the bottom of the invoice, it says there's a 20% restocking fee.
So we lost money there. Let me ask you this, Chief. Thank you, Council. Is the drone that you guys purchased conducive to your mission?
Can you say that again, please?
Is your drone that you purchased conducive to your mission?
Very, very much so.
Is
It's an
it
additional piece of our toolbox.
Is it conducive to the chief? I would say ask the police chief, to his mission.
If he calls for it.
Okay. I know at the last meeting they talked about not being a safety piece of equipment. I will tell you, we used to use what they call WASPs. Well, now they're up to WASP 3. And those were for surveillance, reconnaissance, intelligence, all safety. You didn't want to send anybody out, you utilized the drone for that purpose only. I am not in agreement. I am actually in agreement with the three councilors over here and Councilor Steve. I think, and I've said it before, this should have been done a completely different way just because it says drone on it. And it scares a lot of people and they don't understand what it can be utilized for. My concern tonight is the fact that if we only get, was 20%, only $6,000 back. I'm not good at math. I don't have an abacus in front of me. But we're only going to send some of this back. Right now, I'm kind of a little bit frustrated. I hear chief, that you want to get trained on it, that the deputy should be trained on it. We never allowed our commanders who are on the command and control side, and maybe the fire department may be different with the state of Massachusetts, we never allowed our full bird colonels, our sergeants majors and master guns to do any of that because we had young men and women who would be there for 20 years to be able to get trained and certified on it. So I wish and I hope, any policy that may be, I'm willing to amend this motion to state that we have it, but it cannot go anywhere until a proper policy is set in place. You know, we're going to lose money on it. If both chiefs can utilize it for safety of our residents, whatever it may be, and I am concerned about that little girl in the forest. I am concerned about a fire that, you know, one of the biggest things was not being able to see the site. You know, that's what drones are utilized for, to be able to stay out of sight and to be able to utilize it right. That's why you have a camera on it, or 2 cameras. The Wasps had 2 cameras on them. So you can see everything that's surrounded you. Though I am completely in agreement on how this happened, completely, on how it should have gone down, should have been a conversation to have, just a conversation at a meeting one day. And then it could have moved and progressed at this point in time on the needs and wants. But if we're going to lose 20% on it, then I think that needs, and we're willing to keep it and change it and to not be able to do anything with it. And I don't want line items changed and increases for FAA certifications. It's going to go in your safety budget and whatever it may be. Then I'm willing to work with that. I just need, and as far as accountability, there's got to be accountability on how we do certain things. Though I don't believe, and based on the town manager's recommendation to me and saying it was not an illegal purchase, regardless of what it comes to, go to the Attorney General's office, you fully believe that. That's the route to go. But if we're going to lose 20% on it already and we have it in hand, but I think there needs to have further discussion how this went about. These are big items. Even if it was 8,000 under a capital project, or under the capital, it was under a capital, it's a drone, and people are deathly scared of drones. They're deathly scared of their privacy. Councilor Lazo's right. I think I even told Councilor Marchetti, that thing flies over my property, and I know it's illegal as heck. It may not come back. I mean, that's where a lot of people view, and they're worried about that. My wife's out there, my kids are out there, and you can't just go over because you hear that there's a possible fire or somebody's just burning it illegally. You drive. This is that's your priority. You drive over there to find out if it's being reported. A drone is not, you should utilize it. It should be search and rescue, surveillance, reconnaissance. It helps the police if they got a bad guy in the woods and they're able to put that out there for somewhere, whatever it may be, or a lost young lady. We don't know. I'm very conflicted on this, but I am willing to say you keep the drone, but you can't even think about flying that damn thing until there is a set policy. And I don't agree that we have to set the policy all the time. I think this is so controversial, the town council needs to have a say in this fold. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Are you making an amendment?
I'll make an amendment to this.
I'll second.
Well, I'll make the amendment too.
I'd like to call a point of order before we get into the discussion on the amendment.
Can we finish that discussion?
The point of order is that I was addressed by name on potential allegations of litigation I would like to speak.
Okay.
Very briefly.
Sure.
I was the one who made it very clear that nobody says anybody's doing anything illegal. The purpose of this town council is to rule on the charter and interpret the charter. That is literally our job. That's all I'm going to say. Continue.
Thank you. Please continue with your amendment.
Vote to authorize Southbridge Fire Department the use of a drone once a proper policy is approved by the town council.
Second.
Second.
Let me just write this down. Is there any discussion on the amendment? Councilor Lazo.
On the amendment, you don't need to amend it. Vote yes or no. You vote yes, you're going to keep the drone. You have to go through all the procedures that I handed the chair, all 19 of them. And you're going to pay the money for them, all 19 of them, not just $8,000. So I don't know the amendment, for or against, it doesn't matter. I think the yes and no on the drone is a decision whether to go forward or not. If you're going forward, you've got to do everything that the law makes you do. So I don't think you need an amendment to say, I'm going to make a policy, we're going to make it better. Gus Steve's already started working on the policy ahead of time. I mean, I'm surprised the policy didn't land sooner, but they showed up at a meeting when Gus Steves was working on a different policy for the town, for private people's drones. And I commend him on that, but I don't think you need the amendment. I think the yes or no is going to catapult this forward or end it. Thank you.
Any other on the amendment?
Yes.
Councilor Steves, then Councilor...
Ironically, that the amendment fit into what I was going to say anyway, but there's 2 points. One is to what Councilor Lazo just said, is the fact that actually, if you look at the way the agenda item is written, it says vote to approve Southbridge Fire Department use of a drone. So we do need, so if you have any interest in allowing the police department or the fire department to even consider creating policies, you do have to amend it. Because it does not say to buy a drone or to send it back, it says to allow them to use it. Which means if you wanted to use it, then we do need to sit down and create a policy. Which ties into the second point that I was actually going to make earlier, which is the fact that if the fire department and the police department are interested in sharing this drone, other departments may have an interest in it as well for other purposes that may or may not be something we want to consider. Because I know, for example, conservation has raised the issue years ago about buying a drone. And they never did. But either way, I think it says that we need to have a broader policy that isn't just for these 2 public safety departments, for a whole host of reasons that includes their interests. But it also includes a lot of the stuff that we've talked about up here, about the public safety concerns, about the public concern over drones themselves, which is a lot of what Councilor Adams just said. So that's all I need to say.
Very good. Councilor Rivas.
Yes, so I would be in favor of this amendment, and I do think if the fire chief and the police chief are willing to work with the councilors to come up with a policy, I do want to warn us it's a slippery slope where it is something that I welcome discussion. Obviously, people are concerned about drones, and that is an important thing to talk about. But I warn us to be careful about trying to dictate departmental policies, where we have experts, people that have been trained for years. We are not firefighters. We are not police officers. We are not emergency personnel. And while we do create policy for the town, as I had asked the town manager about a precedent about dictating departmental policy, we have to be really careful about, sliding into that realm as counselors, because that is micromanagement, and I do agree with Councilor Adams on that.
Councilor Lazo, then Councilor Dow.
On the amendment, creating policy, it is the council's job to create policies. We understand we have experts in certain areas that work with us creating these policies. I think Councilor Steves and a few other ones that have worked on general government have created policy with the chief, created policy with the DPW. We created policies with the manager. But the thing is, it's our job to put the policies forward and work as a team creating the policy. But the policy lands in our lap, it lands in our subcommittee. The fire department doesn't create you came in with the fire chief came in with a document, had to be 100 pages. And we had to approve it. They couldn't move it forward without the approval of council. So the powers of council, the finance, policy, the charter, it's some of the things we have to work on. The only thing I have to say is, if we're getting a drone, it's simple math, councilors. You're getting an $8,000 drone. That's not the bottom line. Training, insurance, this is gonna go way over $8,000. And I'm sure we'll find it in some account under $10,000. But what I'm trying to say is, if we sat down and we put together what this document from this gentleman, 25 years, we would vote no just on the financial end of it because it would have exceeded $10,000. So when I look at the taxpayer and I say, we can use a drone, we can have a drone here in an hour. Why would you want to go buy a drone and then pay for all the training? And don't worry, when the union negotiations come up, that's going to be a stipend position, if not a sole position. You're going to create a monster here tonight. Send it back, that's all I can tell you.
Councilor Dow.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, through you. So my question tonight is when Chief Wilson say I need an hour to get the drone down here, under what policy that drone will fly? The town, the state, the fire department, the police department? So what you're talking about law, you're talking about policy, and we fly and drone anytime we want?
No, through you, Mr. Chair, that's through a mutual aid agreement with the regional SWAT team that covers all the cities and towns that they operate in. It's 72 cities and towns. It's for any emergency, any public safety emergency, we have a drone up in the sky. We've had it here several times.
So that state law set for that drone
Yes.
to fly for emergency?
Yes, I have a feeling that, and I don't want to speak for anybody, Council Dow, but I'm going to be getting that policy in this community in some variation if it's approved tonight.
So we sitting here hassling the fire chief because he wanna get the drone. If the police department came in and say, I need a drone because, the incident happened on Thomas Street, chasing whatever, I don't wanna go details, we will approve it right away because the police department, they're right all the time. But the fire department...
Yes, we are. Oh, sorry.
But the fire department, they're looking forward, the same thing for safety, for the police and the fire. We're given hard time, and the state have law, obviously, they're coming in and they're flying the drone over the town. None of us or any residents complain why the drone flying over my house or over the town with no policy. So I'm not sure what we agree on here right now. What's the argument right now? It's very clear.
Is there anyone else that wishes to speak to the amendment? Very good. I'll wait for Councilor Adams. Yep.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Nope, we're going to vote. This is an important vote, so we're going to have you here.
Okay.
That's quite all right. I don't blame you. Very good. There being no further discussion on the amendment is to add, once a proper policy is approved by the town council, to the end of the standing motion. Is everyone clear on that?
Mr. Chair.
Yes, Councilor Adams.
Just say vote to authorize. Can I read this off?
Yes.
Vote to authorize Southbridge Fire Department Vote to authorize Southbridge Fire Department use of a drone once a proper policy is approved by the town council.
Can we add it the police department too? That this we don't have to argue again?
You need the DPW too, buy 10 of them.
All right.
We're talking about
Gentlemen,
safety.
it's
Councilor
late.
Lazo.
It's late. Let's work through this. Okay, we have an amendment. Everyone clear on the amendment? Roll call vote on the amendment.
Let's see here. Councilor Dow.
Yes.
Councilor Lazo.
No.
Councilor Marquetti.
No.
Councilor Montigny.
No.
Councilor Rivas.
Yes.
Councilor Ryan.
Yes.
Councilor Steves.
Yes.
You're the only one I couldn't hear.
Yes.
Okay. Councilor Adams, yes. Councilor Daniel.
Yes. Amendment passes 6-3. We now have a motion on the floor that's been amended. Is there any further discussion on the amended motion on the floor?
I'd like to make a motion.
Councilor Montigny.
I would like to make a motion to amend the newly amended to say, if not approved, it must be returned.
Second.
I'm not clear on what you're saying.
If, to add to the end of the current amendment, or the whole motion,
Yep.
if this is not approved, the drone is to be returned.
Okay, so you made another amendment? Okay, another amendment.
Thank
Very
you.
good, thank you. Any discussion on that amendment?
I'll make a second.
Okay.
Did you second?
Council Lazo did.
All right. Any discussion on the amendment?
So what's the amendment? Can you repeat it, please?
It is to just simply add at the end, if not approved, the drone must be returned.
I don't remember that.
Yeah, I got it.
Got it?
Just a clarification,
Certainly.
if the policy's not approved
Yes.
or if,
No, if this agenda item is not approved.
thank you.
Thank you.
Everyone clear on that amendment? Any discussion on that amendment? Councilor Montigny.
Briefly, I would just like to say if the amendment reads, if the motion reads as amended right now, I feel that a vote of the council is a fair way to decide the way it was written after these two amendments. And I will be suffice with the outcome, personally. Thank you.
Anyone else? Councilor Steves.
Because I know when you originally proposed it, I thought you meant if the policy is not approved, as opposed to if, because that would give us some time to actually devise a policy.
Right.
As I know I had stated earlier that I was opposed to approving this motion until Council Adams threw that idea out there, and that kind of I think that gives us the time to do what we need to do. I'm not a fan of drones in general, but I think if we have them really strictly limited to what we can do with them, then I might be willing to accept it. Depends on what we do. But that's why I was saying, are you
right?
Because
No,
I'm not
it was
sure.
changed to authorize. So this is, and if it's not authorized, then the no votes get the drone returned. If your flavor is to vote yes, then so be it. But if it's no, it should be returned. And that's the amendment we're discussing. So, but this isn't about policy right now. It's the way it's been amended and hopefully amended further. I feel like the issue could be put to bed and move forward with either outcome if you accept this amendment.
Okay.
Okay.
Anyone else on the amendment? Very good. Roll call vote on the amendment.
Council Lazo.
Yes.
Councilor Marquetti.
Yes.
Councilor Montigny.
Yes.
Councilor Rivas.
No.
Councilor Ryan.
No.
Councilor Steves.
Yes.
Is that yes?
Yes.
Councilor Adams? No. Councilor Daniel?
No.
Councilor Dow?
No. No.
All right, gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen, please. Motion, the amendment fails 4 to 5. So the motion stands as amended previously. Any more discussion on the motion as amended? Councilor Marquetti.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. It's been a while. I'm trying to come back to some of the things that were talked about previously. I just want to point out to the town manager that according to the charter, you are not a procurement officer, you're a purchasing agent. It's in the bylaw that says that the procurement officer designation comes in. But I don't think this has anything to do with procurement. This has to do with whether or not something was purchased that the council did not authorize. I know at the subcommittee meeting, you thought I was trying to remove you. I'm not trying to remove you, Mr. Town Manager. I'm simply trying to get someone to get a handle on the spending in the town. I think that you need to get better oversight. I personally think some of the procurement delegations that you have made should be removed now.
Councilor
because-
Marquetti, we're addressing the motion as amended.
I would like to address this. I
It
mean,
needs to
baseless
go through you.
allegations by you and Councilor Montigny that he can't back up, and I asked for it. I think are out of line. I'm a certified procurement public official, MCPPO. I'm also an attorney. I'm held to a higher standard. And when people just come in and say, you violated it, you made illegal purchases, you violated the charter, and here under this provision, you should be removed, I don't like that. So that's what you just referred to. That's what he said at the subcommittee,
No one
Mr.
said you
Monteith.
should be removed.
He did the other week. He read it off. Anybody who violates the charter under this provision, he read that chapter and verse, and you just said he talked about it. So I want you to steer very clear. If that's what you're going to insinuate by saying, I don't have control over what's going on with purchasing, because I still said, underneath, the way this is set up and the system is set up for procurement officers, the delegation is made. It was within, an appropriation was made for that safety budget. I delegate, as I do to the chief and all the other department heads, the ability to purchase under $10,000. Standard practice. As a matter of fact, I talked to this chief and both chiefs. I went back to my old town. They purchased a drone. The department heads made it. It didn't go before the Board of Selectmen or the town meeting, and there was not a problem. That's why I scratch my head. But to sit here and say that somebody violated something, and then to read that clause that said whoever violated this has to repay or be removed, I take offense to that. I really do.
I've been
And that's
addressed
all I
again.
have to say.
Well, I still have the floor.
Okay, well,
Chairman.
I've been addressed after.
So, as I said, the drone is also can be invasive, and I do think there needs to be some policy set before you even consider using the drone. I don't know what you're going to do with the drone while the policy is being set. It's going to be locked up. I'm not quite sure, but I would just assume the drone be sent back, and that's how I feel about it. Thank you.
May I please respond to what was, again, allegations?
Very
against me?
quickly.
Very quickly. At PPP, Councilor Marquetti read the charter. Once I had a time to talk, the manager had commented, just like you did in this fashion, similarly, on how you were not happy with that. And when I had my turn to speak, the very first thing I said at PPP that night was that I do not believe that's what Mr. Marquetti was trying to say. I said it was very explicit that he just wants to see the drone returned. He did read that. I'm not insinuating anything. I have been very clear that I don't think procurement was violated at all. I think you have a very good handle on things in the town. I'm not trying to say anything except that this one purchase was not done, in my opinion, the right way. As an elected official that is supposed to interpret the charter, I hope we're clear on what I'm saying, because I've been very clear since PPP. I even chose to say that at PPP because I wanted to make sure that that wasn't the message. Nobody wants to fire anybody for this. At least I speak for myself when I say that. And I said it at PPP, I said it earlier tonight, and I'm saying it now. That's it.
Thank you. With all due respect, Councilor Lazo, please hold it to the
This
amended
discussion
motion.
over the charter and stuff will continue later. The only thing I'm saying is you have a department head that made a purchase, that didn't even talk to the manager. And I understand the procurement officer. Back when I was on council, there was only one procurement officer, it was Florence Chandler, and there was no delegating at that time. We just had one procurement officer. They created another procurement officer on school side, and that was it. But that, and then now they say, well, we can't handle that with all the stuff going on. It's amazing how this town ran just a few years ago, more efficient, doing the big projects, doing the roads and sewer, and still, they did not do frivolous spending. When we have an $8,000 plane, drone, no one knows how much everything else is going to cost because nobody had a discussion on it. Training, insurance, and everything. So if it goes up to $15,000, then we're going to turn around and say, the taxpayer's going to suck it up. The poor taxpayers constantly pay the tab. And these councilors don't think that way. They think about, oh, geez, we have it, so let's keep it. And the expense will continue. Thank you.
Very good. I think we've about said everything we need to say on this. The motion, as amended, I believe, says vote to authorize Southbridge Fire Department use of a drone once a proper policy is approved by Town Council. Yes. Very good. Roll call vote.
Councilor Marquetti.
No.
Councilor Montigny.
No.
Councilor Rivas.
Yes.
Councilor Ryan.
Yes.
Councilor Steves.
Yes.
Councilor Adams, yes. Councilor Daniel.
Yes.
Councilor Dow.
You really need my vote now? Yes.
Councilor Lazo.
No.
6-3, the motion passes. Item number 37, vote to have the Town Council Chairman send a letter to the Worcester Regional Transit Authority, WRTA, Chairman and Administrator, expressing that the Southbridge Town Council supports the continued suspension of transit fares until 2026.
So moved.
Second.
Councilor Ryan.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Through you, I want to thank the chairman for putting this on the agenda. I had a number of citizens email me, as well as other members of this council, urging us to take very much the same action that Worcester took, to say that we support the continuation of the suspension of fares for those who ride the bus system. I've made clear multiple times, during the pandemic, this has been a life send to so many people who need to get to work, to medical appointments, to do the basic things of day-to-day life. This is a social safety net for some of our most neediest and most economically disadvantaged. I've gotten so many calls on this from people, from social equity groups, from the Chamber of Commerce. Every single one of them has said this has been to the benefit of our communities. So that's why after all the calls and all the emails, I decided to work with the vice chair and the chairman to get this letter proposed for tonight. It's pretty simple. It just explains a lot of the facts that I've already explained. The draft letter was in the packet in case anybody had questions. I didn't get any calls or questions as to it. And I would urge the council to support this tonight, and to give me clear action as I go to the meeting next week to continue to support our riders here in town. Thank you.
Very good. Any discussion? Very good. All those in favor?
Actually, I do.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I do.
I'm
Thank
sorry.
you. I
Councilor
want to thank
Adams.
Councilor Ryan for doing this and the fact that we're able to support this, hopefully this evening. So thank you for all your efforts. Appreciate it.
Any further discussion? Very good. All those in favor? Opposed? One opposed. Motion carries. Item number 38, vote to create a Capital Planning and Facilities Advisory Committee pursuant to the Southbridge Home Rule Charter, Chapter 2, Section 4-4. The composition of the committee to be as follows: the Finance Director, Chairperson, one Town Councilor, the Assistant Town Manager, Superintendent of Schools or designee, and one citizen appointed for a one-year term.
So moved.
Second.
Very good. Sorry.
I'd like to speak on the topic.
Oh, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I have had conversation with Chairman Daniel about this and some other members of the council. I know part of this, in my mind, goes way back to the ad hoc capital planning that we had with Councilor Marquetti. I had mentioned on more than one occasion I wanted to see a capital planning committee because the process that I came into here was pretty much the finance director and I reviewing the capital plans of the various department heads, and that was not the system that I was familiar with, where we had this type of committee that drew from all different parts of not only the administration, but brought in people from the community to give input on what they thought was important. And I did ask the chairman to include facilities because that's something that we've talked about. It's something that's on goals. So I thought, again, if we can get an objective group to sit down and look at the capital requests and some of the facility needs and help make the recommendations so that at the end, in budget time, we can direct our attention to that with the officials and members of this feel the most important priorities I think it would be best for all of us, and rather than just, as I said, the process that's been used to date. So I just wanted to lend that commentary. I think it will be a great benefit to have that discussion and bringing it back and then sharing recommendations with me and to the committee, the council during the budget process. The only thing that I would do differently is we usually wait till right around September to ask for capital planning needs for the next year, and we do have an existing multi-year plan. I would then push that timetable back so we start getting people thinking now, so that this type of committee could be meeting September, October, November, so that as we start the budget process shortly after the first of the year, we have some good ideas as to where to focus our attention. And that's all I wanted to share with the members of the council.
Any discussion? Council Lazo.
I won't be voting in favor of this. I think it circumvents the council. I know it's advisory, but this is a cute way of swaying people around on what they want purchased at what time. I think our subcommittees do a great job with it. I don't know where the assistant town manager knows the difference between a bulldozer and a transmission. You have people that actually know that go to DPW. When it comes to police and fire, same thing. You know, people that are affiliated. So for myself, I understand what this is and I know why it's created. I don't think we need more committees. Council is in charge of finance and in charge of the capital. We worked on the capital. I worked on it with the capital committee, and I think the town council in their respective subcommittees should work during the budget session on capital. And this here is just another layer of bureaucracy in my mind, and more meetings and nothing gets done. Thank you.
Very good. Anyone else?
Yeah, I'll say something. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Through you, just I do, you know, I respect my friend over here on my right, but I got to tell you, I probably have the most opposite view when it comes to subcommittees, since we argue the same thing up here at town councils we do as subcommittees. So that's my point of view and professional point of view, and that's all I've got to say. Thank you.
Very good. Councilor Rivas.
I disagree. I think that I agree with Councilor Adams. I think that an advisory committee is a way to get more involvement from different perspectives from the community, which is sorely needed in attending the subcommittee meetings. It's a very homogeneous group, and we have a very diverse community that is not being represented on any of these subcommittees, and this is a way to get representation from all sectors of our community, and I agree with the town manager.
Very good. Mr. Manager, then Councilor Montigny.
Council Laws, I just want to say, I don't think this takes away any authority from the subcommittees. This would just be to get additional input to me as I'm putting the capital budget that I present to you. It'll still go through subcommittee. The council will still have the final say. It's just getting additional eyes and ears on it. You know, maybe it's composition, but it's a tool to assist me. That's what we talked about, something the equivalent, I think, during the ad hoc committee, that it might be a good idea to have some type of citizen-involved capital planning advisory committee at that time. So I had talked to the council about it, the council chairman, and so this is what we talked about.
That's it. Very good. Councilor Montigny.
Thank you. Did you have a counselor in mind for this appointment for the one counselor, or is that next meeting?
That's next meeting.
Okay. I'll be voting no because I believe, in my opinion, it's micromanagement. Thank you.
Councilor Lazo.
In the noble thoughts of my fellow councilors of getting the community involved, what we've done is we've put citizen members, non-elected, on subcommittees so they would have input. But the council, you don't have to like the council form of government, you can like the selectmen form of government, but this to me is just a political move, okay? It's my opinion. And I think when we move forward with certain projects and stuff, we try and get people in that phase, in that experience, to do these things. We have counselors up here that have all different walks of life, different jobs, we're experts in certain areas, and we have those discussions. But the thing is, we constantly keep watering down the council. Oh, don't micromanage, let the department heads do that. Trust your department heads, you know. But then when everybody runs for office, they say oversight and accountability. Trust your, and then another one, once they get here, it's tax and spend. And then the taxpayers are sitting there going, I can't afford to live in Southbridge, some of the elderly are saying. They're still living in their homes, they gotta get rid of it. We're doing that to those people. Every day we vote, spend, spend, spend. You go look at that fire department. We haven't said no to anything but a forestry truck in 6 years. Yes, yes, yes. All brand new vehicles, all brand new radio, brand new everything, brand new fire station. And the taxpayers, we have no frugal part of our government where we watch out for any dollars. It's always spend. And to me, this committee, I can tell you what's gonna happen. A bunch of people are gonna get on there and they're gonna tell the council, this is the recommendation. And certain councils up here, oh, they said it's okay. I'm in favor of it. Spend, spend, spend. Thank you.
Very good. Councilor Marquetti.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I hope you can hear me. I actually think this is a pretty good idea. I know at the end of the year, we're always taking a look at our capital, at our free cash, and then we're saying, how much free cash do we have? Let's buy some capital items. And to me, that's not very good planning. So I think a capital planning committee is a good way to start planning for our needs. I actually think you should add a couple more citizens to this, not just one. But so I'm in favor of it. I think it's a great idea it's a good way to plan for our capital needs. And believe me, I'm not a rubber stamp. I'm going to take a look at it before I vote on it. Thank you.
Councilor Ryan.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, through you. Yeah, I agree with you 100%, Councilor Marquetti. This is a good idea. I know, right? So the facts are the facts, right? Like, I think it's smarter for us as a town to plan how we're going to spend our money and plan our capital needs far in advance instead of, as Councilor Marquetti explained, waiting until the last minute expenditures from the subcommittees. I think this is a good idea. This is going to set us up to make some of these plans and start projecting into our capital plan what we really need, not want, but need. And this will allow us to be able to be more forthright with the citizenry about what the plan is, because we'll actually have a plan. We'll have a committee who's been working on that plan and continuing to make changes and amendments. So I think this is a good idea, and I would urge the council to support it.
Anyone else? Very good. Roll call.
Councilor Marquetti?
Yes.
Councilor Montigny?
No.
Councilor Rivas?
Yes.
Councilor Ryan?
Yes.
Councilor Steves?
Yes.
Councilor Adams, yes. Councilor Daniel?
Yes.
Councilor Dow?
Yes.
Councilor Lazo?
No.
Okay.
7-2, the motion passes. Item number 39, Council's Forum. Let's go alphabetically tonight. Councilor Dow.
I just want to welcome the new councils. I hope next year I have left work with you guys and to prove the town of Southbridge, the best of town of Southbridge. And Councilor Lazo Meyer, thank you.
Very good. Councilor Lazo.
Good thing there's only 1 year left. Tax rate will be about $50 per 10,000. But anyways, I'd just like to say, I'd like to commend the Airport Commission on the job well done up there. The runways, we should have had the Airport Commission in charge of Main Street, and you would have had the paving job that you have up there, you'd have over here, but we trusted our department heads. The dog kennel, I want to continue to work with the chief. I mean, I don't know if the town manager wants to put a mini building committee or something together, or if it's going to be run by chief, then the chief runs it, but it's long overdue. And again, it doesn't belong in a rec area by a school. It belongs at town land by the plant. I think that's all I had. I had something else, but Tonight was too hot, I can't even think. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Very good. Councilor Marquetti.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I had a few items, but I also wrote something down. When we had a citizen at Citizens Forum here on Dresser Hill Road. Now, that's the second time a citizen has come up here. I understand the town manager's concern there, but I do think we need to resolve this somehow. We can't just let this sitting there languishing like that. Something is wrong up there. I'd like to take a look at it and work it out. I don't think there's, well, I'll just leave it at that. I did receive a call from a constituent on River Street over the weekend concerning loud music late at night from passing motorists. The constituent asked if the police could patrol the area occasionally and curb the loud music at night. Another issue is the Board of Health. It seems to me there's been plenty of time to appoint 2 new members to the board, and I didn't see it on tonight's agenda. I don't see Board of Health meetings on the calendar, so I'm presuming they are waiting for a new members to be appointed. We do need a Board of Health in session to work on the curbside garbage collection. A transfer station cannot be developed without a Board of Health, so I'm asking that the town manager appoint the 2 new members as soon as possible. He does have his finger up, so maybe he already has appointed them, I don't know.
I know the Board of Health has been meeting regularly. They met last week because we were trying to get some people appointed as
Really?
agents.
Okay.
We were waiting on a scheduling of an EHS subcommittee because that's what I was told. I have 5 applications. I've spoken to several of them already, going through the
Very
vetting
good.
process, and
Yep.
I'm talking with the Board of Health members about, which direction to go in. So we
Thank
should
you.
have some for the next meeting for appointment here.
All right, thank you. I probably was just looking at the August calendar, and I didn't go back far enough, so thank you. I also ran into the acting DPW director, Mr. Desjardins, in the town manager's office recently. He was carrying carpet samples, and I understand that the carpets have been ordered for the town hall. Hopefully, the carpets will be of a higher quality and workmanship than the last time. My question to the town manager is, are we replacing all the carpets that we voted on? I think we voted on hallway, town clerk's office, assessor's office, and town manager's office.
Mr. Dujardin left. I don't, to be brief, so Councilor Lawson says I can't answer. I don't have the answer for that. So.
Okay, thank you. Get back to me on that, please. Thank you. On a positive note, I attended the ribbon cutting ceremony at the Southbridge Airport last week, and the project looks great. Contractor did a good job on the runway. The airport is a shining example of what happens when grants are used in an effective manner and there's good oversight and updates on the project. I'd like to congratulate the airport manager and the airport commission and Stantec for making sure the job was well done. We also voted to approve the diner contract tonight, so things are looking up at the airport. No pun intended. So that's all I have. Thank
They're
you.
beginning to take off.
Very good.
Councilor Montigny.
Thank you very much. Had some positive things to say, but I'll touch upon them just briefly. The airport ribbon cutting, I called the airport director and told him congratulations. I wasn't able to make it. He was extremely happy with the turnout. And I was able to make the event on the Common last Tuesday, and it's an honor to be able to represent the town at these events. I would like to make something clear about my history in the town, working for the town. I've wore a bunch of different hats for the town and the school. I've been a department head. I can't count on fingers and toes how many family members I've had that are principals, department heads, businesses in town. I've always cared about the voters and the citizens first, and working for many managers, many superintendents, many principals, a couple different receivers, I feel that I am qualified to have been elected to represent these citizens. And anybody who knows me knows I haven't been a fan of management for the majority of my tenure doing anything with the town. And I was trying to turn over a new leaf at PPP subcommittee meeting. I had a lot of statements prepared to speak out against the drone issue, against the manager, and I had heard, which is why I alluded it tonight, the charter policy that read with the word terminated in it, and I made very clear that night that and I'm making clear tonight that there's not a single person that I would like to terminate at all in this town. I'm very grateful for the people that have stayed through the town manager's great resignation he discusses all the time. That has been a pandemic of its own amongst the public and private sector in this country. That's why I came to the defense that night of that language, because I thought that was aggressive, and it was made clear that night. It's too bad it was not recorded to verify this, but it was made clear that night. That was the manager's response. He didn't like that, and I didn't like it either. And I felt that I was turning over a new leaf coming to the defense of that. I don't think the fire chief should be reprimanded through termination either for any of that stuff to happen with the drone. I might just go back to, paying attention to the citizens. I was trying to work with everybody, trying to work with the management and the establishment, and try to protect our good employees that my family has worked directly for, which I appreciate the opportunity to know that this is a very, very smart town manager that drives a long way to get here, and he also stays sometimes to make sure that he can be here the next morning after long nights where the meetings end at 12 o'clock. So I think I've made myself extremely clear, and there's not going to be a next time for defending anybody but the citizens of this town and the taxpayers and the people that live here. I appreciate every single employee that we have in this town, especially the town manager. Thank you.
Councilor Rivas.
Yeah, so we are elected to oversee and make sure that our citizens are taken care of. We can multitask. We can make sure that we are not taxing our citizens, taxing them out of town. In our growing community, we're not the same community as 20 or 30 years ago. I know, I'm 51, so I've been here a long time too. I might look young, but I'm not that young. And we are also tasked with being innovative and creative and finding ways to lift the burden on our residents. And so as a counselor, yes, I learn a lot from Counselor Marchetti's questions. I do my homework as well. I read all of the materials that we are given. And I do ask questions. It isn't a blank check to the departments. I don't want what has happened in the past, where a department, piecemeals something together to get away with something. Obviously, we want to make sure that that doesn't happen. But there is a balance between micromanaging and holding departments accountable, and we need to live in that gray area and not veer into either direction. And that is the task that I feel the voters who voted me into this position have asked me to do, and to diversify the voices that come into our town hall and are part of our process. And I, just like Councilor Montigny, I was at National Night Out, and I'm happy to say I've registered 2 new voters, and I have a couple of forms for the town manager for some volunteers for our commissions, and really just getting more people involved in our community, because we don't serve ourselves well having the same voices over and over and over and repeating the same things. We need to learn from our history. It is an important history. We are an amazing town, but we need to learn from that and move forward. Thank you.
All set? All set? Yep,
Yeah,
great.
set.
Okay, thank you. Councilor Ryan.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. First, I just want to again thank the council for their vote tonight in support of the continuation of the suspension of fares. It's something that's very important to me and important to a lot of people in this community. I didn't talk about it earlier because it would have been out of line. Anybody who watched the meetings this last week, both, not this last week, but this last month, both at PPP and at DPW, I was a little concerned. As someone who worked in human resources, I understand a lot of the work that Ms. Robena and her department does. And the nasty, vindictive attacks that came after her and her department at that meeting, it's on record. I urge everyone to watch that meeting because it's quite telling. It was inappropriate. And I would ask that when we have debates on people, that we do so in a more civilized and professional manner. Because now you combine what happened tonight, you combine what happened at the DPW, you combine what happened at PPP, and you combine what happened with Mr. Pelletier and the way these circumstances have happened, it has not made us look good at all. I'm going to be quite frank, the calls I am getting from the citizens in this community are ones of abject disgust. So, just keep that in the back of your minds. You can vote no. You can disagree. I voted no tonight on somebody. But you do so in a professional manner. And to not do so to the detriment of this community. That's all I would have to say on that. Thank you.
Council Steves.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I only had one quick item, well, two. First off is that the last of the Concerts on the Common is going to be this Sunday at 6 with Gracie Day. So if you haven't seen any of them, you should go down and catch the last one. And if you had a chance to catch the last Sundays, it got partly rained out and then happened anyway, which is cool. Which is very cool. And they were very good, too. I was holding back. They were very good. And the other thing I want to point out is that earlier today, I decided to sit in, just for the sake of doing so, on the state's Drought Task Force online meeting. I just want to let you know that they voted to maintain our region as a level 3 drought. The river in our area is it's doing okay north of us, but pale and getting worse. It's starting to get really below level south of us. We're kind of in the middle. All of the rivers that they were showing were below 10th percentile, so it's starting to get really bad. The state tracks 54 river gauges and 51 are now below trigger level for water restrictions. So I know that technically our town doesn't have any water restrictions because the reservoirs themselves are in pretty good shape. But you got to remember, and when it comes to using water, the streams, as they put it, the streams are all suffering. It's particularly poor prognosis for our rivers and Worcester County specifically, as they were saying, and the groundwater levels are starting to get hit. So don't be washing your cars out there. Don't be washing your houses and stuff like that. We need the water to be in the ground and in the rivers. The temperatures are about 1 to 3 degrees above normal, but they're expected to return to normal after Tuesday for a while and go back up again. It's August. Right now we're about 8 inches of rain below normal for the year. We might get a little bit in the next 10 days that'll be helpful, but it will not break the drought. So be careful in what you use. And another point that came up is, although the fire risk is pretty typical in our area specifically for late summer, some parts of the state are seeing serious fire issues. And as they put it, live fuels are showing serious drought stress. Wildfires are burning the soil much deeper than usual. If you leave a campfire abandoned, it will escape. You will start getting forest fires. Also, smoking materials, make sure you take care of them because they're a major cause of outdoor and structure fires. So make sure you drown your campfires and stuff like that. Don't leave them burning. We're pretty lucky so far, but they are seeing some issues in some parts of the state where they've been having to use helicopter suppression devices and various other things that they're not normally using. So let's not have a fire like we saw in Brimfield back several years ago, where they had multiple days of having to fight it, and it burned several dozen acres, and there's already been a couple of those in some parts of the state. We haven't seen them down here yet, fortunately. So that's pretty much all I wanted to say.
Very good, thank you. Vice Chair Adams.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just a couple items tonight. I went to the National Night Out, but I couldn't stay long, but it looked like a great event. I saw Councilor Martigny there, Councilor Rivas, probably walked right by you and didn't even know where your booth was at. But anyways, I saw a few other people there, town manager, chair, so it was a great night. Unfortunately, I only could spend about a half an hour, 45 minutes. I went to accept a Purple Heart proclamation from another town because yesterday, August 7th, is Purple Heart Day. And it recognizes those that perished in the line of battle and that are or wounded, and those are the physical wounds. And so if you look, we had 5 flagpoles yesterday flying the Purple Heart flag that we purchased last year, and thanks to the town council a few years back, we became a Purple Heart town itself. So once a year we fly those beautiful flags, and actually we bought one that says Southbridge right across it. And that goes right at the Gold Star Mothers monument. So that was great. The airport was awesome just to see them back up and running, and looking forward to the new chow that's going to be up there at the airport. I want to thank the community center for opening their doors during the day to make sure that those that need a little bit of cooling because of these hot days, I know the sacrifices you do make. I know, so I appreciate all that and the volunteers that went into that. I was asked by Ms. Norda to remind the town councilors we do have boxes in the manager's office. If you guys can clean those out once in a while, it'd be great. Lastly, I just wanted to reiterate, I know Chair Daniel had brought this up tonight about some stuff with it that's in the charter. I'm going to ask that the town manager provide a copy digitally or physically, a copy to every new employee within the town itself, and possibly if the HR department or whatever the town manager decides to give proper classes. We do have checks and balances as town councilors. We are not all powerful. I will say this straight up. If at any time you have questions, you can reach out to councilors, you can reach out to the town managers, to the staff, obviously, like that. But that's what the charter's for, and not a lot of people understand what the charter says and can do. And there's a lot of misinformation sometimes going out there. So I do ask that we can, at least as a town, can do that. I want to thank all the individuals. I know there was a rough night, and I know there was a lot of topics, specifically the DPW and the fire department. But I do believe wholeheartedly, even though we kid up here once in a while, I think we came up with a new word, micromanagement, on a constant basis. I do want to say that I think everybody has, and passion, I think everybody has the right, they care about the town. That's what it's all about. And I don't think anybody came up here and ran to fill our own egos. And I just want to thank you guys for what you're doing. I know it's long nights and we don't do this for a lot of money, but I want to thank all the town councilors as well that are up here. So that's all I've got for tonight. The next meeting, agenda item number 40, discussion of the next meeting date, which will be Monday, August 22nd, 2022, 7 p.m. here right now in the chambers.
Right now. Yeah. Okay, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor? Anyone opposed? Very good. We are adjourned.